YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, or any other source you all might be listening to this on. As you can see tonight, we have got a very long video. You see a lot of areas of what we're going over. We are going to try to cover a lot. There will probably be times that I'll read something to you, read something in this video, and it's going to get my mind sidetracked on something else. And it's already been kind of happening because I've been sitting here and I asked the Father, I said, this one here took me a couple days to put together. Because I asked the Father about it, and it's just like I got some of it done and I made a video, left it up for a few hours, took it down because it just didn't feel right, and let my mind soak and concentrate on the Father and what He wanted me to say in this video for the last couple days. So tonight, I think I finally got it to where I want to go, but my thing is I'm sitting here, I do something, and it's just like I'm being reminded of something else. So I'm thinking, okay, are you telling me to show that? All right, so I will. That's what I'm doing. That's why we've got a lot of areas to go over, but there's some very, very valuable, important information coming through this video that's coming to you from our Father. I only speak what He teaches me to speak, what He tells me to speak, and sometimes I think I overdo it. Maybe I underdo it a little bit, but I try to perform the best that I can for my abilities. As I've explained in the books, I'm not a well-educated man. I am the foolishness of this world that He's bringing down. I've got a 9th grade education. We're not going to get into all that. That's it. That's described well in the books, especially in the 2nd book. Okay? And I go in to show how the Father's using the foolishness of this world to bring down the wise and the prudent. Okay? But we want to go over a lot of things tonight. And I know a lot of people look at the Bible as past tense. It's not past tense, because the name of this video is precisely what's getting ready to happen. And we're going to show this through the scriptures on how the Father's taught me. Like I said, now I don't know if it'll be as well as the books, because, obviously I'm being moved by the Holy Ghost when I'm writing the books, and there's been many times. You know what? I'm going to pause this, and I'm going to bring something up that I put in the 3rd book that was published August of last year, 2019. I just want to bring that up real quick. Okay, never mind. I've used up all my high-speed data, so it's taking too long to bring up the manuscript from the 3rd book. But on the 3rd book, in the introduction, and I think I actually showed this on one of my previous videos, but it actually showed, I told the world to, and this was published August of 2019. I told everybody to humble yourselves. And I don't remember exactly how I worded it, but humble yourselves, for this is going to be a very devastating time for the whole world. Now, we're going to be talking about this COVID-19 here in this video. But this COVID-19 didn't happen. We didn't figure out we had this virus until November of 2019. This book was published in August of 2019. So the Father has me write things in the book that hasn't happened yet. I didn't even realize it until after I got the book in hand and I was looking over it, and I was reading in the introduction, and I seen that, and I like to freak out. I didn't even realize I had wrote it. So I know when I'm writing the books, there's a lot of times I'll write stuff that I'm not even really familiar with. And I know there's one spot in the 3rd book while I was writing it, I actually said, I confess, I'm learning this just right now. And that's where I was talking about the fringes that I wear, and so forth, that these are to the tent that the Old Testament, when we listen or read, we devote our everything into the Old Testament, we build a spiritual tent around to it. And these fringes, and I show this in the book, and this is how it's in the Bible. I show that these fringes are the door to that tent. When I take those fringes off, I open the door, and I allow all the evil spirits to come in and try to mess with me. So yes, I wear my fringes all the time. I explain that in the book. We're not gonna get into that time because, oh my gosh, that's way off topic. And while we paused and I was waiting for the manuscript to try to download again, I actually added a couple sections of I went in here and added a couple of spots of the Bible, and he added them into there later. We'll be going over it here in a little while. Like I said, it's just certain things get my mind going, and it's just the way it works. All right. Y'all should know that from watching any of my previous videos. If you're a newcomer, get used to it, because that's the way my mind works. I jump all over the Bible because the entire Bible is one letter of instructions on how we are to live our lives today. Not for many people, not just for the people of the past. Okay? It's mainly about our lives today. And I show that in all 4 books. All right, we're going to start out John 4, verse 23, 24. Excuse me, I'm drinking some coffee. All right. And tonight, as you can see, I highlighted only and now is. Okay, start out. But the hour cometh, and now is. And I'm going to stop right there, and I'm going to emphasize why I emphasize on now is. Because we are in the very end of the end of days, if you want to call it that, or the last of days. And as I was saying earlier, when I was saying that I don't think we'll have enough time to write another book, and I was going on this other publisher, they take a long time. This fourth book, which is also the third book, is inside the fourth book. That's why the fourth book is 565 pages long, but I really felt there was a very valuable information in there in the third book that I just did not want to let. It just fell into place with the fourth book. Everything just kind of lined up, and I kind of think maybe I made the fourth book or the third book prematurely. But at the same time, I explained that in the book, why I made it so fast, why I did it so fast. Once I got the solid commandment to write the book was published 2 months later. Like I said, Zulon goes quicker. This book, I just got my copies in hand. It's the end of November. They've had it, manuscript, I think, since March. March, April, right around that time. Excuse me, smoker's cough. Yes, I smoke. I explained this in the book. I'm not going to explain it tonight. Okay? But, they take a lot longer, and I'm afraid to go back to Zulon, so I won't. Once the Father gives me a commandment, I can't change it. I'm not going to change it, and I'm not going to mess around with, maybe you'll show me some lenience. No. I fear him. I'm not going to show that in tonight. But yes, Jesus fears God. Many people think he didn't. Yes, I do. And you know what? Now we are going to. Just a second, I'll pause it. I got to show it. All right. I just had to do this. I show this in the books. Okay, but I know there's a lot of people that think, they think that Jesus never feared God the Father. That is so untrue. I fear our Father because I know how miserable he can make my life. I know how pleasant he can make my life, and I know he has the power to send me a strong delusion, which we're going to go over here in a little bit in this video, if I don't truly seek him and what he's all about and what he's doing. If I don't try to understand what he's doing, I don't even want to go there. No, I will continue to seek seek and further my knowledge of him, Because, I mean, how can I go wrong by fearing the one that's perfect and learning of perfection so that I can become perfect as he is? And, you know, and right here, we're in Hebrews 5. We're just right there. We went over this in another video. That's from verse 9. And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obey him. Okay, that doesn't mean obey me. That means read the books. Try to understand what the Father's saying. Okay, but I'm being made perfect. If I choose not to have the Father in my life, that stops. But I'm not going to choose. There'll be days, yeah, I get mad and days that I practically want to bawl because things get so rough. You know, it isn't all fun and games learning this, but because I know who's teaching me and what he's teaching me, I know my reward after I'm done here on earth is going to be greater than I can ever imagine. I know that. But anyway, I wanted to show this. In this Hebrews chapter 5, we're going to start with verse 5. Just so everybody can really truly understand that, yeah, I feared God, and if you got some spirit telling you that Jesus never feared God, you are listening to the wrong spirit, the wrong God. Okay? This is very well explained in the other books, and yes, it does get my mind thinking about in Malachi where God raises his son and those that fear him. Okay? But I'm not going to go into that. I'm not going to show that because we're already, 12 minutes into this video, and I haven't even really got started because I'm ranting on a bunch of other things. Okay, but anyway, Hebrews 5, verse 5. So also Christ glorified not himself to be made an high priest, but he that said unto him, Thou art my son, today have I begotten thee. Don't go there. All right. As he said also in another place, Thou art a priest forever after the order of Melchizedek, who in the days of his flesh, when he had offered up prayers and supplications with strong crying and tears unto him, that was able to save him from death, and was heard in that he feared. Yes. The only thing we have to fear is the Father. Everything else comes down the chain from the Father. You're going to kind of get an understanding of that tonight in this book, in this video, not in this book. I'm not writing the book in the video. All right. Now, back to John 4. But the hour cometh, and now is, when the true worshippers shall worship the Father in spirit and in truth. For the Father seeketh such to worship him. God is a spirit, and they that worship him must worship him in spirit and truth. Now, on that emphasis on now is, with this COVID-19, the economic shutdowns, the racial tensions, these are all biblical things going on, and they are all affecting the whole world. Okay, so when I say the hour now is, it is, because we're in the last days of the last days, if you will. All right, we're gonna try to get you to be able to understand this in the same way that I do tonight in this video, and that's why it's going to take so long, because. Yeah, the Father connects a lot of areas of the Bible to me to be able to get me to absorb one great big picture in my mind. And then I try to put this picture that he's got painted in my mind down into words so that you can try to get that picture painted into your mind, and that gives you the same understanding, not quite as well as the Father, the understanding that I have, because yes, the Father has taught me one-on-one, hands-on training. Okay, best way to learn anything, in my view, and I think it's about in a lot of people's view. That's the best way you learn anything. You can go to school all you want, okay, and you can get book smart. You can learn numbers and all that good stuff. But when But all right, let's just say you want to be an engineer or something. You want to be able to build buildings. You can probably go to college. You go to college and get all your degrees and do so, but you're not going to really learn what you're doing until you actually get out there and put your hands on it and start physically doing it. Well, that's what the Father's been doing with me. He's physically taken me by myself, put me out by myself, and, well, all away from other men. He has standing right here on the right side of me all the time, or the left side of me, wherever. He's right here. And he's showing me the Bible, his doctrine, not man's. So yeah, things that I teach are different. You're not going to hear it in a church. Okay? The churches, and you'll be finding out why a lot of times you won't get straight knowledge from a church, which we'll be going over that here in just a little bit. You'll be hearing something that I just about guarantee you have happen in your church every time you go to a man-made church. Been in a few, and I've seen it, and everyone that I've ever been to, I've seen it. I can't say that it's in all, but we'll go over that in a bit. All right, like I said, we got a lot to cover tonight. Okay, this is Isaiah 27:11 again. Like I try to tell y'all, I'm trying to help y'all understand in the same way that I understand. Okay, Isaiah 27:11. When the boughs thereof are withered, they shall be broken off. The woman come and set them on fire, for it is a people with no understanding. Therefore, he that made them will not have mercy on them, and he that formed them will show them no favor. It's going to be a lot harder for you to understand. Your feelings are going to be, you'll be tensed up more, frustrated, irritated, and you're always dismayed with what's going on, because you're not going to understand what's going on. But when you start to understand what's going on, then yeah, I'm not going to say it's going to take all those feelings away, okay, but it's going to take a lot of them away, because in the back of your mind, you're going to say, you know what, this makes sense, and I understand what's going on now, and anyway. All right, so now, what we're going to go over first is we're getting ready to dive into Matthew 6. Now, we had spoke on that a little bit the other night, but tonight we're going to go over giving our alms. That's our charities. That's not all charity, because the full definition of charity covers patience, being merciful, and a lot of things are involved with just charity. But alms is about helping people out financially, or let's say maybe you buy someone a meal. We're going to be going over all that stuff. Okay? Now, I am an example for you all. I've been through all this. I've been, like I did explain, I learned all this hands-on training, one-on-one. So, yes, I mean, there's certain things that the very first time I read the Bible stuck out to me like a sore thumb that the pastor was totally teaching differently on and whatnot. That's what got me to leave the church. I explained that in the second book and whatnot and so forth. But I am an example for you. That's why we're going to go over a few things that kind of show you of things that I truly believe from the beginning, and or shortly after the beginning, after the Father called me, and I explain that in the books when he called me, and so forth. But I'm an example for you. Christ leaving us an example here. Here we go. We'll go to 1 Peter chapter 2, verse 21. For even hereunto ye, when ye called, where were ye called? Because Christ also suffered for us, leaving us an example, that ye should follow his steps. Okay? Now, and a lot of people right now are probably going to go, and I'm not going to show all those spots, but we can go to all those spots that Jesus showed mercy and had compassion and a love, a general love, not a love that you want to live with someone, but a general love for all. And even when, if you want to think carnally, when he died on the cross, okay, which was, we're gonna be going over some of that here in a bit too, okay. But if you want to think of it carnally, when he died, okay, well, he didn't call up the angels to get him out of here, which we know he could have. He didn't. In fact, I think it was Peter when they told him they was going to do these things to him. I think it was Peter that come up to him, cut the ear off of one of the guards, and I think it was Peter. I'm not going to look it up right now for sure. But Jesus told him, "Get thee behind me, Satan, for thou savorest the ways of man and not the ways of God." Okay? That ties in so much to the mark of the beast. We're not going to really get into the mark of the beast, but we're going to be touching on that. Those that save their lives will lose it. We're going to be touching on that area in a little bit. Okay, I am an example for you, and I think I have one more thing on the example. Well, maybe a couple things here. Yeah, okay. Very beginning of Hebrews 12. Wherefore, seeing we also are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight, and the sin which do easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us. That has part of that patience is part of that charity. That's something. So I get anxious sometimes because I think things are going to happen faster than they are, because I'm on man's schedule. I still try to do things on man's schedule, and we're on the Father's schedule, and it just throws me for a loop sometimes. Anyway, back to where we're at. Verse 2, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. For consider him that endured such contradiction of sinners against himself, lest ye be wearied and faint in your mind. Okay, that's more of the suffering, and that's why I'm bringing this up to you all. Yes, many, and I mean many. You know, I've had these videos up for a while. Nobody comes to my channel. Very few people watch it. But, and that's what these are. I'm actually giving you a conversation I've had with the Father. You know, and I told him, well, so why make the videos? They're not that many people are watching anyway. Well, what he's telling me is the book's coming out, and he had me put it in the book, my YouTube channel. Okay, there's a biblical reason behind it too. Why the name of my channel is the Jinx 1000. Yes, I'm going to tell you that for the book. Read the book, you'll understand it. Okay, when the book comes out, or when the book's available for you all to buy, I should say. Okay, but the days of me being rejected are about over. And God's going to start calling all those that are going to be raised from the dead. That's what we went over the other day. And they're going to have to put on the incorruption the same way I put on the incorruption. But they are not going to have to do it the long way that I had to do it, because the books are a shortcut to an understanding of the Father. Okay, we already went over that. All right? They're a shortcut. Once everybody starts realizing how loving, merciful our Father has been since day one. Since day one. Once people start realizing that, really start to try to get to know him, he's going to grab a hold of you, and you're put your seatbelt on, because you're going for a ride. It's going to be rough, but you're going to love it. The reward will be worth it. Okay? All right. And one more thing on the example. We are in John 13. For I have given you an example that ye should do as I have done to you. Now, I just went over the little conversation I had with the Father. Father, why make the videos? Excuse me. Hardly anybody's coming to watch them anyway. And as I told you, there's going to be information on these videos that you're also going to be able to obtain that's probably not going to obtain from the book. Maybe some will obtain the knowledge in the video better than they would the book. I know there are a lot of people that'll read and can't comprehend what they read. So maybe to sit and listen and kind of read as you're listening. I know for me, listening to the Bible well over 20 times has done me an abundance of good. Because that's the way he's been teaching me, precept upon precept, line upon line, a little bit here and a little bit there. I'm not going to show that, but yeah, that's in the Bible. That's anyway, getting sidetracked again. All right, but I wanted to show this the example parts because we're getting ready to dive into Matthew 6, and I know for a fact Matthew 6 is ignored. We're not going over the entire chapter. We're just going to go over the giving the alms. We're going to go over praying. And we're going to go over fasting. Okay, and yes, tonight, you're going to learn what a true fast is. Churches will tell you to deprive your soul of food, deprive your soul of the internet, or, I mean, I've even heard things of fasting from watching TV or whatever. No. Maybe they're all traditions or philosophies of men that doesn't do a darn good. Doesn't do any darn good. You're going to find out what a true fast is tonight. And yes, this is in the second book, and when we get to that, I'll explain to you how this is how the Father had me fast for 40 days and 40 nights. And I will tell you right here, right now, I did not go without food for 40 days and 40 nights. But I did fast for 40 days and 40 nights. And no, I'm not supposed to tell you when I fast, but it's it's in the book. It shows you, it's a biblical witness as to who I am. This fast was after I was baptized in March 8th, March 9th of 2016. The fast was right after that. Well, 3 weeks. Well, let's get into that later. Getting sidetracked again. Matthew 6. Now, pay close attention to this. All right, because there are some very strong words in here that is so much ignored. All right. Take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them. Otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. Therefore, when thou doest thine alms, do not sound a trumpet before thee, as the hypocrites do in the synagogues and in the streets, and that they may have glory of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But when thou doest alms, let not thy left hand know what thy right hand doeth, that thine alms may be in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret himself shall reward thee openly. Now, we're going to pause here. Okay, and when you listen to this, that very first verse, take heed that ye do not your alms before men, to be seen of them, otherwise ye have no reward of your Father which is in heaven. It's gone. No reward. If you let anybody else know about you helping someone else out, your reward is gone from the Father. From the Father. He's telling you, do it in secret. Do not sound a trumpet. Don't go around telling everybody you did this. The only reason, well, that's on the fast. We're only doing the fast. But I explained the part of my alms in the book, but these were biblical witnesses as to who I am. In the books, I explain this I explained my alms before I was baptized with the Holy Ghost. And when you read the book, you'll understand that what I was doing. But it was given a biblical witness in how I was following the scriptures. And if I lose my reward, then so be it. But the Father and I was trying to show you, well, we're showing you all exactly who I am. All right? But don't go around telling everybody you do it, because what you're doing when you do that is you're looking for, oh, what a good fellow you are. Nope, there's your reward. It's gone. It's done. All your reward from the Father is completely gone. Completely. It's out. It's done with. It's done away with. He will not reward you if you let other men or women see of your alms. Let them know of your alms. Your reward from the Father is gone. And I don't know about you, but I'd much rather have my rewards from the Father. Okay? I won't tell you how much I help people. I'm not going to, the other night I mentioned about John 4 being fulfilled. And I mentioned that in one of the videos. And, I told her some things, but I didn't give her the amounts or anything. But but that night after the Father revealed to me that John, and by the way, that was the first time he was telling me about that tonight. He puts me in these situations where the scriptures are being fulfilled to the letter. But usually I don't know until a day or two after it happens that was fulfilled. And that was the first time, as the scripture was being fulfilled, the Father told me, hey, this is John. He was telling me John 4, but I was thinking John 5 because at the same time, he was telling me she's had 5 husbands. When I realized this was the scriptures being fulfilled, I told her, I said, she said she only had the 4 husbands, and then after that, she mentioned the guy she lived with 12 years. So I was being told this was the scriptures in John 4, she had 5 husbands. So I was being told as the scriptures were being fulfilled. That was the very first time that ever happened like that. And it was earlier today that I finally started to understand why that was. I kept asking the Father, says, how can it be fulfilled? Because I didn't call her out for having 5 husbands. And I just misunderstood. But see, that's where Jesus is the interpretator. Okay, we're gonna be going over that in the prayer here. Like, everything up there is down here, and everything that's happening up there is happening down here. Same thing. Okay, thy kingdom come, that will be done on earth. Okay, we're not there yet. All right, but anyway, see, I told you, I'm getting sidetracked. Sorry, 33 minutes into it, and I'm getting sidetracked. All right, now, verse 5. Yep, I got to do that. I gotta show you where the lips are. Okay, that didn't take long. see. Excuse me. Yeah, good old smoker Scott. Anyway, Psalms 141. Get back here to Matthew 6, sorry. Let's go to that. Matthew 6. When thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites are. For they love to pray standing in the synagogues, and I mentioned this the other night. Synagogues, you look it up on eSword. Synagogues is a man-made church. It's a church, okay. And in the corners of the streets, that they may be seen of men. Verily I say unto you, they have their reward. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet. When thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. But when ye pray, use not vain repetitions, as the heathen do, for they think that they shall be heard for their much speaking. Be not ye therefore like unto them, for your Father knoweth what things ye need of before ye ask him. Ask him. Now, we're going to pause there. Now, verse 6, but thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy door, pray to thy Father. Now, we're going to stop. We're going to go back here. Here's the door we're going to shut. The other night I was telling you about. Tonight I'm showing you. Psalm 141. I think I misquoted it. I think I was thinking what chapter 51. There's something else in Psalm 51 that the Father's trying to bring to my attention. But anyway, Psalm 141, verse 3. Set a watch, O Lord, before my mouth. Keep thy door of my lips. There's your door. There's the door you're supposed to shut. Go back to Matthew 6. Okay? Shut. So, I'm not adding to the Word of God. I'm not taking away. But I'm just going to put what this is actually saying. When thou prayest, thou shalt not be as the hypocrites. 6. Verse 6. But thou, when thou prayest, enter into thy closet, and when thou hast shut thy lips, thy door, we just seen it, Psalm 141, verse 3, thy door is thy lips. So when thou shut thy lips, here, nobody can hear you pray to the Father. When you learn, when you read the third and the fourth, mainly the fourth book, you are really going to understand what that really truly means. Okay, but I'll guarantee you right here, right now, you will never, ever hear me praying to our Father. Yeah, once in a while I might say a cuss word or something and say, "Oh, sorry, Father." I might say that in front of someone. But you'll never hear me praying for things that come from my heart to the Father. Never. I've had people ask me to pray with them and pray, and I'll tell them, no. I said, all prayers are to be done in secret. And I tell them, read Matthew 6. I've had people ask me to pray for them, and I tell them, whether I pray for you or not, you'll never know. Okay? Because I want my reward in heaven. If there's one thing, the whole Bible is about loving others, not yourself. Okay? But if there's one thing that I look out for myself, it's making sure me and all the spirits that dwell in me, I force them to worship my Father. I don't allow Satan to hinder me. He tries. Oh, he tempts me. It ain't God that's tempting me. I know that it's Satan that's tempting me, but no. Get away. I don't want nothing to do with it. I'm for the Father. I'm all for the Father. Okay? Without him, I don't exist. I don't want to exist. Okay? I give him all glory for everything. I explain this so well in the books. I'm just a dumb man. If you want to look at me as David, I'm just a dumb high school dropout, college dropout, drove a truck for all of his adult life, pretty much all of his adult life. I don't know diddly crap. But the one thing I do know is I know our Father. And I know I don't want 1 second of life without him in it. All right, like I said, I'm getting sidetracked again. Sorry. All right, now let's go over this prayer. When we'll be told to pray. Okay, verse 9. After this matter, therefore pray ye, Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Okay? That is so much of what let us make man in our own image is all about. Is because if it's happening up there, it's happening down there. If they have it up there, we have it down here. The earth is like a model of what they got up there. It's just like, all right, you go to a store and you buy you a model car. And as an example, the Father had me using a book. You buy your model car. The model's got an engine on it. You paint it. You put your little chrome pieces on it, whatever. You put it all together. It looks really good. Let's just say a 57 Chevy. Well, I don't know what size engine they had in them back then or whatnot. We'll just say a 350 big block. All right. And well, anyway, you paint it and everything. You get it looking really good. It looks like the real thing. The doors open, maybe even. The trunk opens. The hood opens. You can look at the engine. It's got a steering wheel in it. It's got the little gas pedal, little brake pedal. Maybe it's a standard. It's got the little stick shift in the clutch. You know, it's got the seats. But it's not the real thing. We're in their image. They have it up there. We have it down here. We have it down here. They have it up there. Okay? That is so misunderstood. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. That is what let us make man in our own image is mainly about. It has nothing to do with us looking over that. We'll be going over that a little bit in the video. And you're going to really see why. Well, we'll touch on it then. All right? And verse 12. Verse 11, I'm sorry. Give us this day our daily bread. That bread is knowledge. It's not actual food. That bread is knowledge. Okay? And forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Okay? No usury. No charging interest. Not going to show it tonight. This reminds me of the scripture says that owe no man nothing. Okay? All these people wanting to finance everything. You're a servant to them. You have to keep doing things in order to be able to pay your bills. Okay? I'm not showing this in the scriptures, but anybody that's halfway familiar with the Bible, they know where that's at. Or just Google it. Okay? Well, we got so many other things to cover. We got to get so much more done. We're already 42 minutes into this video, and I'm not getting anything done. Not fast enough. Okay? But the now forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. Anyway, yep, see, I got sidetracked. I'm sorry. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. For if ye forgive men their trespasses, your heavenly Father will also forgive you. If you don't forgive anybody for doing something you feel was wrong to you, you won't be forgiven for anything that the Father feels or thinks you've done wrong to him. And you're going to learn tonight, when you do something wrong to anybody on this planet, and what I mean by wrong is by disregarding a general love for them, that is wrong. That's the only sin that we really commit. That's the only law we really truly transgresses against our Father. We don't love others as we love ourselves. Okay? Man tends to think of himself. I will love you as long as you do this, as long as you're not that way, or you're this way, or as long as things work out a certain way. That's not the way our Father loves us. In fact, and yeah, I'm getting a little sidetracked again, but our Father, when you'll have to read the books in order to be able to understand this, but when he kicked us out of heaven and cast us here to earth, yes, you heard me right, cast us here to earth, he didn't say, screw you, you transgressed my law, I'm done with you. He said, you know what, I love you so much, I'm not going to make it about me. In fact, I'm going to give you, in his time zone, if you will, it's just a blink in his eye or whatever. In ours, it's several thousand years or several thousand lives. But I'm going to give you a chance to learn how to love in the same way that I do. And that love is not about making it about you. Okay? Getting sidetracked again. Oh, what a surprise. Oh my gosh. Verse 14. For if you forgive men their trespasses, I already did that, but if you forgive, yeah. All right, now, verse 16. Moreover, when ye fast, be not as the hypocrites of a sad countenance, for they disguise their faces, that they may appear unto men to fast. Verily I say unto you, they have the reward. Now, we're getting ready to dive into what a true fast is. If I lose my reward, so be it. But this is in the third and the fourth book, but this fast is so much different than what people think it is. It has absolutely nothing to do with starving yourselves. And I'll go ahead and give this example. And this is the way the Father explained it to me. He says, David, your body is like an engine. All right, so if you're old enough to drive, you ever ridden in a car, you know that it needs gasoline. Okay? And if you run out of gas, the car dies until you put more gas in it. Think of your body like that. Think of your body like that. If your body doesn't get gasoline or food, this is the way he made our bodies. He made our bodies to need food. You know, it keeps our immune systems up. It keeps our muscles functioning better. And, you know, everything that our bodies do runs off of food. Everything. Sleep also. Okay? But food. If you don't put food in your body, everything starts going haywire, including your thought process. Everything starts going haywire. He never wanted us to go without food. But so many people will tell you that's what a fast is. Or people will tell you, go and deprive yourself of the internet or deprive yourself of the TV. You're getting ready to find out what a true fast is. Okay? And the only reason I tell you all about this 40-day fast that I had is so that you all can line it up in the scriptures, or it's in the books. It's lined up. I show you how it lines up exactly as to who I am. All right? Verse 17, but thou, when thou fastest, anoint thine head and wash thy face, that thou appear not unto men to fast, but unto thy Father which is in secret, and thy Father which seeth in secret shall reward thee openly. Okay, that's as far as we're going to go in Matthew 6, all right? That fast. Don't let other people know about it. The only reason I'm doing it is because it's a strong biblical witness as to who I am. And I gotta pause this, get some more coffee because I'm thirsty. Okay, had to get a little coffee, smoke a little bit of a cigarette, whatever. All right. I guess I was wrong. I am going to read a few more verses before we dive into what this true fast is. And yes, I read a couple more verses, and it instantly made me think of something else that's in the fourth book, and something else that we'll probably be touching on later, but I'm going to go ahead and put it now because we're already talking about Matthew 6, and we're talking about layup. Anyway, I need to read up here more. We already read about the fast. Verse 19, lay not up for yourselves treasures upon earth, where moth and rust doth corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust doth corrupt, and where thieves do not break through nor steal. For where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. Okay? Now, the reason I did this, maybe we're going over this in the wrong spot, but just try to keep this in your mind when we get into the COVID-19 and when I start giving the commentary on it. I'll probably touch on this again later, because I see a lot of it going on, and there's nothing. I don't care what it is. There's nothing you're taking from here when you leave. When we die, we're not taking anything with us. Okay? So, worry about how the Father is going to reward you when you leave. Or, better said, worry on how the Father will not reward you when you're done with whatever you're supposed to fulfill. Do your alms, do your praying, do your fasting in secret. Lock those rewards in heaven. Don't let others know about them. Like I said, if I lose my reward for this fast, but I had to show the biblical witnesses. That's the way the Father explained it to me. You got to show them how your life lines up with the Bible, verbatim. You all will see that when you read the books. All right. Now, what I was talking about. The love of money is the root of all evil. Oh, I forgot to. 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 10. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows. The money, you can't buy God's love. Okay? His love is free. It's free. You can't buy it. You can't gold bars won't do no good. Okay? And the reason I said we're going to talk about this later is the economy. And I see so many people that think it's so important to keep the economy strong or keep money in the bank so they have money to survive. Who are you thinking of? Okay? Think of others, not yourself. Because that love of money will do you a lot of harm. A lot of harm. Anyway, yeah, that got me off track. Now, on that Matthew 6, because I got so sidetracked and whatnot. What a surprise. But I was talking about praying in secret. I know there are a lot of people that pray before they eat. They pray out loud. If you pray out loud where others can hear you, yes, I will say it here. Okay, I do pray out loud, but there's never any. When I do, I make sure there's no one around me. And if I see someone coming in, I usually go off and I go out into the field or whatever to do my praying. Okay, that way I'm always by myself. It's just me and the Father. Okay, or I'm always talking to him when I'm in the truck. Well, I'm by myself, doors shut, windows up, whatever. Other people can't hear me. But there's a lot of people, and I used to argue with my mom about this when she was alive. As my mom, now she's my granddaughter that's explained in the other videos. And yes, I need to do an updated reincarnation because the Father finally got it through my thick head. But anyway, that's another video. And I'm not going to get sidetracked on that right now. But I used to argue with my mom when she was my mom, not my granddaughter. And I want to go there, but I'm not. But anyway, yeah, she used to think that we had to pray before we eat because we wanted to bless the food. But see, that's exactly opposite of what our Father tells us to do. And I do believe this is in the very first book the Father had me write. He had me point this out. Deuteronomy chapter 8, verse 10. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless thy Lord, the Lord thy God, for the good land which he hath given thee. Okay? After we have eaten, after we are full, then we shall bless the Lord. My mom used to say a prayer, and I used to say the words of bless his food. Now, I know you're praying out loud and so forth, but there's something I wanted to bring up. This is something the Father brought to my attention. How many people choke and die on the food that they eat? How many of these, all right, well, it's just right here. We got, in 2018, there were around 5,084 deaths, choking deaths in the United States. Deaths from choking is more common among the elderly with food. Oh, that's from 1945 to 2018, I'm sorry. 5,084 choking deaths. All right. Now, I can't know for sure, you can't know for sure, but I'm almost certain there was probably some of those people that prayed before they ate. But yet they choked on it and died. The scriptures tell us distinctively, eat, and when thy belly is full. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he hath given thee. This is really expressed in the second book. There it is. Because in the second book, that's where I show it how the Father uses 1 million people for you to eat one meal. 1 million of his servants, 1 million of his vessels. You can trace it all the way back to the very first man on earth. If you want to go into the skepticals, each man had, everybody had to be taught how to do different things in order to be everything to be fulfilled the same way it was, just so you could eat one meal. That's why you eat, then you give thanks to our Father. But you do this in secret. If you do it where others can hear you, your reward from the Father is gone. It's gone. Unless you make him a liar. If you think he wasn't serious, that's what taking his name in vain is all about. That's the fourth commandment. Thou shalt not take thy Lord thy God's name in vain. Vain, people think that is saying the GD word. No, that's not. That's cursing the name of God. Okay? Taking his name in vain, and I've showed this in the books explicitly, okay, but by taking his name in vain is thinking that he's full of lies, full of emptiness, thinking he's not going to do what he said he's going to do. If you think that he actually meant pray before you eat, when he says in Deuteronomy 8:10, eat and then give thanks, or bless thy Lord, okay? If you think that actually means pray, bless thy Lord before you eat, you're taking his name in vain. That's what taking his name in vain is about. Yeah, I'm getting sidetracked, but yeah, like I said, there's so many things that just click on so many different areas of the Bible. Okay? But if you take all right, get back on track, Well, all right, we did the choking. We showed the choking. Where are we at here? Isaiah 58. Now we're going to go into this fast. I'm going to show you all what a true fast is. Has nothing to do with starving. All right? We're in Isaiah 58. We're going to read the first 8 verses. Listen close. Read along if you want. Cry aloud. Spare not. Lift up thy voice like a trumpet, and show my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sins. Yet they seek me daily, and delight to know my ways, as a nation that did righteousness, and forsook not the ordinance of their God. They ask of me the ordinances of justice. They take delight in approaching to God. Wherefore have we fasted, say they, and thou seest not? Wherefore have we afflicted our soul, and thou takest no knowledge? Behold, in the day of your fast ye find pleasure and exact all your labors. Remember I said don't let anybody see your fast? Okay? Behold, ye fast for strife and debate, and to smite with the fist of wickedness. Ye shall not fast as ye do this day, to make your voice to be heard on high. Is it such a fast that I have chosen? A day for a man to afflict his soul? Is it to bow down his head as a bulrush, and to spread sackcloth and ashes under him? Wilt thou call this a fast, and an acceptable day to the Lord? Is not this the fast that I have chosen? to loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke. Is it not to deal with thy bread to the hungry? Knowledge, bread is knowledge, remember. Okay, but it can be food too at the same time. And that thou bring the poor that are cast out of the house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh? Then shall thy light break forth as the morning, and thine health shall spring forth speedily, and thy righteousness shall go before thee. The glory of the Lord shall be thy reward. Now, did you hear that? Verse 6, is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loose the bands of wickedness, to undo the heavy burdens, and to let the oppressed go free, and that ye break every yoke? Is it not to deal thy bread to the hungry, and that thou bring the poor that are cast out of thy house? When thou seest the naked, that thou cover him, and that thou hide not thyself from thine own flesh? That's a true fast. It's helping others. Now, we're going to talk about how the Father, he was baptized me with the Holy Ghost March 8th, March 9th, 2016. He sent me to my mom's for 3 weeks because I had to get it through my thick skull that I wasn't supposed to physically die. When I went out into the wilderness, I walked out about 5 or 6 miles. I found a secluded area, no one around. I thought I was supposed to physically die, and I thought I was going to go up to heaven to work with our Father in heaven. I truly, and I followed the scriptures verbatim, okay? And I thought that's what I was supposed to do. And I went out there. I was out there for about 40 hours. I come back. He sent me to my mom's for 3 weeks to get it through my thick skull that I wasn't physically supposed to die. I explain this better in the books, all right? Then he sent me to my brother's. Now, right at the time, close to the 3 weeks, I went out one night, and I stayed up all night, and this was the night that the Father told me, you are not supposed to physically die. But I went out somewhere, found a secluded area, because I thought I screwed up when I come back from the wilderness is when I did. And I found a secluded area, and at that time I was at my mom's. I had a knife, and I put the knife to my throat. And I told God, I said, oh, at that time, I was in the conversion of calling him God and Father at that time. That was if you want to call it transition or whatever. And I told him, I said, all right, I was supposed to cut my throat because the scriptures say if we've done God wrong to put a knife to thy throat. So I put a knife to my throat, and I was getting ready to cut my throat. And then I just had this overwhelming sensation that just came over me. It was like I almost heard the words, no, you're not supposed to do this. Okay. And I took the knife and I said, all right. Now the next night, or maybe it was 2 nights later, my brother called, and he lives in South Dakota. He runs a flooring company, and he owns a flooring company. And he was telling me he was thinking about calling one of my other brothers, but he didn't really want to at that time. He didn't want to go all the way to go get him and so forth. And I was, and just talking to him, and we got off the phone. About 10 minutes later, Mom had started talking about she needed me to get out of the house because she didn't like how I was always studying the Bible. From the time I got up, I started listening to the Bible, and I'd listen to it until I went to bed. I mean, after the Father baptized me, I probably listened to the Bible 2 times. The complete Bible from Genesis to Revelation 22. I probably listened to it 2 times those 3 weeks I was at my mom's. Well, anyway, and then my brother called, and about 10 minutes after we got off the phone, I started thinking, I'll go up there. And it was just kind of weird how it worked. I called Mike up. I said, Mike, why don't I come up there and help you out for a while? And it just come out of my mouth. I said, and I didn't know this at the time. And I explained this in the book, okay? But I didn't know this at the time. But all of a sudden it come out of my mouth. I said, I've only got one condition. Okay. And he said, yeah, what's that? I said, you won't pay me. I didn't know what was going on at that time. The father didn't tell me, I don't know, it was a long time after the fast went on that I actually fasted. I did not know why, but I told my brother, I says, you will not pay me. Yeah, I said, all I ask is a place to sleep while I'm helping you and buy my cigarettes every day. I didn't want any money. There was a couple times he tried to pay me in these 7 days. I worked for him for about 6 weeks, and the last week was work. Things went down, and I explained that in the book. But I helped my brother six days a week. I don't think we worked any Sundays, which didn't matter because the truth shall set you free. And I'm not going to show that in the scriptures. The truth. Well, we're going to be going over the truth, what the law. Okay, but anyway. Whatever you do in the name of Christ. That's a love for everybody. Okay? And as long as you're doing it in the name of Christ, truly doing it for the love of everybody, there is no sin behind it. So working 6 days a week doesn't matter. As long as you're doing it in the name of Christ, the love of everybody, not the love of someone that supposedly came here 2,000 years ago and died on some cross. That we're going to go over that in a bit. I'm not going to get sidetracked right now. Okay? But I helped my brother. My brother needed help. He was short-staffed. He was overbooked on work. So I went up to South Dakota and I helped my brother help him in his flooring business for about 6 weeks. I was there for a total of about 7 weeks. But like I said, the last week I wasn't working with him. I was focusing on getting a job. That's where the Father was sending me and getting things set up for me to go there and all that. So, that being said, that's what a true fast is. Okay? I went and helped my brother for no pay. I didn't want any money for me to do this. I was there fasting 40 days and 40 nights. Now, scriptures say Jesus fasted with no food or drink. No meat. Meat is knowledge. Water is knowledge. Okay? This knowledge. The Father wasn't feeding me. Yes, I listened to the Bible as when we wasn't working, but at the same time I was listening to the Bible, I was playing free, mind you, free, because I didn't have any money, online poker as I'm listening to the Bible. So I wasn't really being fed any knowledge from our Father, because I was concentrating on playing these free games. Mind you, it was free. Didn't cost a penny. I didn't have any money. So I wasn't really absorbing what I was listening to, but it just brought me kind of a peace of mind and kept me distracted off of other things and so forth. So, yeah, that's what a true fast is. A fast is not starving thy body. A fast is helping others, helping the homeless. And right now with this COVID-19 going on, there are so many people that are going through so many troubles, and so forth. It's helping these people, when the Father brings them to you. Okay? And I'm going to say this right now. This is the way the Father has explained it to me. I repeat, I do not give anything to all these charities that advertise on radio and TV and so forth. Why? Do you realize how many millions of dollars it takes to advertise stuff like that? I know this because I've checked into advertising the books. Boy, that's expensive. And I know most of that money I'm giving to them is going to them. I don't know where that money's going for sure. But if the Father brings someone in my sight that needs help in any way, shape, or form, I know exactly where every penny I give goes. Whether they do right or wrong with the money, that's not that's not for me to choose on. But I see a fellow servant, fellow vessel of God that needs some help in some way or another, I'm going to help. Okay? I'm not telling you how much or any of that stuff. Okay? But an example. I'm an example. We don't tell everybody what we do, or how much we give, or anything like that. We keep it between ourselves and the Father. The Father sees us do it in secret. Don't go around, oh, I give all these people this money, because you're looking for the appraisal from man, not God the Father. You're looking for appraisal from man. Only reason I explain it is because it's the biblical witnesses to show who I am. And if I lose my reward, I have to answer for that, not you all. Isaiah 46, remember the former things of old, verse 9. Remember the former things of old, for I am God, and there is none else, for I am God, and there is none like me. Declaring the end from the beginning, and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. Maybe we didn't really need to go over this again tonight, but if you don't understand the beginning of the Bible, I don't know why I keep going. I guess I keep picturing the Bible in front of me, and I keep going to the left, because it's going to start the left side, you know. I don't know. Whatever. I keep putting my head to the left. But you got the beginning of the Bible right there. You got to understand the beginning to understand the end. Never understand the end if you don't understand the beginning. Now, we're touching on this. This is Philippians 3, verse 20. Now, I've talked about this in the videos. I explained this in the book. For our conversation is in heaven, from whence also we look for the Savior, the Lord Jesus Christ. All right, now, when we're hearing this, we're being told, and we went over this somewhat in the last video, and I know we went over it in a couple of the other videos, okay? But you're listening to them speak above us. It's kind of like we're lifting our heads above the clouds and listening to what they're saying. And I think I was going to give an example on that in the next... I don't know. I'll probably give an example of that later on. I know it's in First Corinthians chapter 2. I got to pause this, get some more coffee. If you couldn't tell, I'm starting to get a little tired, but I feel like the Father's telling me I got to get this done tonight. I'm not going to bed until I get it done. All right, we're back. Now, as I was saying, it's like we're eavesdropping on what they're saying up in heaven. Okay, it's not. You know, I'm not going to go into that. Like I said, I'm getting tired, so I'm going to try to stop getting sidetracked all the time. But, yeah, like that's going to happen. Sorry. Oh. All right. Ecclesiastes 3:11. For he has made everything beautiful in his time. Also, he hath set the world in their heart, so that no man could find out the work of that God maketh from the beginning to the end. Okay. I want you to keep in mind while we're going through this, and I might have a couple things placed out of order, okay, but tonight you're going to really start understanding what that means, why the Father has put it in man's heart so they couldn't understand the works that he's doing from the beginning to the end. Okay, and now we're in the end, and now I understand it, and I'm trying to show you all the same understanding. Okay, but tonight you're really going to understand this in a better way of why he's doing it that way. But we're going to go over Isaiah 8, and I'm just gonna read the verse 8. Well, let's go verse 7. Isaiah 8, verse 7. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth upon them the waters of the rivers, strong and many, even the king of Assyria, and all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channels, and go over all his banks, and he shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach out to the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Emmanuel. Emmanuel spelled with an I. And I know what I got next here. We all know that, behold, in Matthew 1, verse 23, behold, a virgin shall be with child, and shall bring forth a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which being interpreted is God with us. Go back here to Emmanuel spelled with an I. Emmanuel, the spirit of Emmanuel, God with us, Jesus, okay, covers the whole earth. Covers the whole earth. Everybody, every person, as soon as they come out of the womb, they are a servant and or vessel of God. Okay? We'll go over that virgin in a bit. Oh, like I said, I'm getting tired, but I'm not going to bed. Jesus saith, all right, John 14, verse 6. Jesus saith unto them, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No man cometh unto the Father but by me. Now, I'm going to start off with using the last part of this verse, but we're going to cover the way, the truth, and the life here shortly after, or right after this. But where it says, no one cometh unto the Father but by but by me. There you go. These books that the fathers had me write, the 4 books, you're not coming unto the Father except through me, through those books. That's what makes me the author of our salvation. Okay? If you don't have an understanding, if you don't have the desire to learn of the Father, if you don't have a desire to understand what He's doing, you're not getting to Him. You're not getting to Him. Unless, again, I'll go on this, unless you're taking His name in vain. Thinking He is, the Bible's full of lies. You're thinking He won't do exactly what He said He's going to do. He's going to do exactly what He said He's going to do. Okay? He's not going to change. Malachi 3:6. God doesn't change. It's not going to happen. Wouldn't want perfect to change. Can't take one iota of a millionth of a millimeter away from perfection and have it still be perfection. Don't want Him to change. Okay. So yes, these books the fathers had me write. I am the only way to the Father. That's not me physically. Okay. I have poured out my everything over these last few years in order to be able to understand what's going on with the Father. And I have used my own flesh and blood. I won't show that in the scriptures, but it says where if you won't drink my blood, you won't eat my flesh, you'll never inherit the kingdom. And I think I'm saying that in the wrong way. All right, now I got to pause it. I got to find it. All right, I had to find it. John chapter 6, verse 52. And Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, except ye eat the flesh of the Son of Man and drink His blood, ye have no life in you. I have poured out everything. I gave up everything of the ways of this world. I own nothing. Well, what I own is actually the Father's, but I think I went over my inventory or my net worth. I've got a GPS that costs $400. I've got a CBA radio that costs $120. I've got a cell phone from Verizon. I don't know what the price of that is. I just pay a monthly bill. I've got this laptop that I make these computers, these videos on. It costs $1,000. And I've got a week's worth of clothing. That's my net worth. That's everything I own. And I have poured out, well, as you all know, I've read the book, read the Bible from front to back twice. I've listened to it well over 20 times, front to back. Okay, I have devoted all of my hours, all of my strength, all of my will into learning. I have done everything that I have learned. I have given everything to learn what I've learned so that I could show you all in the books. So unless you eat of my flesh and drink of my blood, these are knowledge. This is my knowledge. Unless you eat of the knowledge I share with you, unless you drink of the knowledge I share with you. Okay? I have done nothing but I poured out everything I've given up everything in this world so that I could bring this knowledge, so I could learn this and bring it. When it started, I didn't know who I was, but I do now. And I understand what this means. When I first read this, I was like, how in the heck am I going to eat the flesh of Jesus? No, it's because I have devoted everything. And I still do to this day. I devote everything into learning to what our Father is doing so that I can show you all the same thing that He's showing me. You ever heard the expression, I built it with my own sweat and blood? Or I worked sweat and bones or whatever, things like that. I've poured out everything into it. This is what it means, eat my flesh and drink my blood. Everything that I've devoted to these books because our Father has taught me, and I don't take any of the glory myself. I give Him all the glory because there's no way I could ever do it without Him. Okay? It's all the glory goes to the Father. Okay? But I am the man that He chose to put all this knowledge on paper. Okay? And it's not been an easy walk, and I'm not asking for your gratitude. I'm not asking for your sympathy, because I'll get all my rewards when I'm done here on earth. I don't want nothing. I don't want no reward here. But unless you try to understand the Father in the same way that I understand Him, you're not getting to Him. You eat my flesh, you drink my blood. These are knowledge. You try to undertake the same knowledge that I've undertaken. You all don't have to go through everything that I have. Okay? You all just have to read the books, and it gives you a lot simpler way to understand it because, as I stated earlier, I've only got a 9th grade education. I don't write big fancy books that you have to look up words for. Okay? I write books that a 9th grader could understand. Actually, today, the way they're educated now, a 5th grader can probably understand what I write. Or... I'm not a well-educated man. But, so I make, and I hear people say this all the time, that they don't understand the King James Bible is so hard to understand. The Father won't let me use any other Bible but the King James Bible. And I understand it. Clear as a bell. Makes a lot of sense to me. And I try to share that knowledge with you all. The only reason it makes sense to me is because our Father has taken the time, taken me on, hands-on, one-on-one training, and taught me His doctrine, not man's. Now, where was we? Sorry for the distraction. All right. Emmanuel, yeah. Conversations in heaven. Sorry for this. Did we just go over Isaiah 8? I'm not skipping. Oh yeah. Jesus says, sorry, I got sidetracked on that. Whoops, I'm in the wrong spot again. John 14. That Jesus saith, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Now, let's look at the way. I just went over on my little rant on that other stuff. Okay, but Psalm 18, and I'm not showing everything in here tonight. We're kind of just going over some of the stuff. Like I said, you get a better comprehension of it through the books, maybe, and maybe some others, we went over that. Psalm 18, verse 30. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. Okay, I am the way. I show you the ways of God. Once you start to cling on to God, God clings on to you. He starts grabbing your hand. Oh, man, you're in for a ride. Okay, now, you said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Psalm 119, 142. Get back to it. Thy righteousness is an everlasting righteousness, and thy law is thy truth. Now, I am the way, the truth. Remember, I refer you all back to the Old Testament. I show you all in these books who our Father truly is. How he's been a loving, merciful, graceful, long-suffering, forgiving Father since day one. Never done anything corrupt to any of us. He has done nothing but showed us love. Okay? But yeah, I needed to be showing Genesis 2 right here. Got that out of place, sorry. Oh, I'm getting myself all messed up here. Way is perfect. Law is thy truth. All right. I guess maybe I'm jumping in. We're going to go into this right now. This is where okay. I'm getting sidetracked. Got off track, whatever, as always. Anyway, everybody on the planet is a servant and or vessel of God. We went over this in the last video, but this is good. This is connecting into what we're going into here in a little bit in this video. Oh my gosh, I'm not even halfway done yet. We're already almost an hour and a half into the video. Whew! Quit rambling so much. Okay. For Psalm 119, verse 91, they continue this day according to thine ordinances, for all are thy servants. All. That's everybody on the planet. And we can get into, I show this better in the books, our fathers only created one blood, that's in Malachi. In Malachi also, we all have but one Father. Okay? We all have but one Father. Doesn't matter who you are, what color, what race, what nationalism, what size or shape. Doesn't matter what you've done, what you're doing, or what you will do. You have one Father. Your Father is the same Father I've got. He created you. He created me. He created everyone. And we were all made without hands. Okay? The woman is the weaker vessel. 1 Peter 3, likewise ye husbands, verse 7, dwell with them according to the knowledge given honor unto thy wife, as unto the weaker vessel, and as being heirs together of the grace of life, that your prayers be not hindered. The woman is the weaker vessel. That means everybody's a vessel. The woman is just a weaker vessel. Weaker vessel of God doesn't mean that they're weaker physically, because there are women that are a lot of women that are more stronger than a lot of men, whatever, physically. But the weaker vessel of God. Excuse me. Now, to show this, that the woman is part of the one Son of God, okay, like 1 Peter 3, the first 4 verses. Likewise, ye wives, be in subjection to your own husbands, that if any obey not the word, they also may without the word be won by the conversation of the wives, while they behold your chaste conversation coupled with fear, whose adorning let it not be of the outward adoring of plating the hair, and the wearing of gold, and putting on the apparel. But let it be the hidden man of the heart, in that which is not corruptible, even the ornament of the meek and quiet spirit, which is in the sight of God of great price. That hidden man of the heart. That's the Emmanuel spelled with an I that's spread all over the earth. Hidden man of the heart. In the woman. She too is part of the Son of God. God created Adam. Well, we're getting into that. Yeah. Skip a part. Oh, should have had Genesis 2 here somewhere. Where is that? Sorry for the delay. What the heck? Should have had Genesis 2 here. Jesus says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. I showed you the way, the truth. I needed to show you the life. Sorry for the pause. Bear with me. Told you we got a lot of stuff to go over. Well, apparently I got it out of place, so I'm just going to do it live right here. We're going to go to Genesis 2. I think it's verse 7. Come on. Come on. Oh, yeah, verse 7. And the Lord God, remember, Jesus says, I am the truth, the way, the truth, and the life. Verse 7. The Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life. And man became a living soul. There's the life that Jesus tells us is. Jesus is in everyone. This is in Colossians. Colossians 3. Jesus Christ is in all and is all. That's Colossians 3, I believe. Okay? I'm not going to look it up tonight because we got too much to go over. I got to figure out where I was. We went over that. So yeah, we went over the hidden man of the heart, and we just looked up the Genesis 2 where that's the life that God breathed into man. That is, as soon as that baby carried, and we all carry the cross, every one of us, right here, from shoulder to shoulder, head to belly button. Now, picture a baby as soon as it comes out of the womb. Doesn't matter what color, what race, what nationalism this baby is, does not matter. There's that cross. That cross is not made with hands. That's why the wooden, the golden, we'll go over that in a little bit. Those crosses do you no good. You're looking for someone that changed our perfect Father. All right. Now, this is something I wanted to bring up. Okay, now, and I've been showing you how everybody on the planet is part of the one Son of God. Showed you the hidden man in the heart of the woman. Showed you the baby coming out of the womb. Every one of us carrying the cross. Doesn't matter who you are. Now, we're not going to go into this dominion tonight because that just gets way too far, too much more into the video, and this is already taking too long. So I'm not going to go into the dominion, but they have dominion over us. Okay, that's another part of let us make man in our own image. I think we kind of touched bases on that the other night. But let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 7 and 8. But we speak the wisdom of God in a mystery, even the hidden wisdom which God ordained before the world unto our glory, which none of the princes of this world knew. For had they known it, they would not have ever crucified the Lord of glory. Okay? Now I show you all in the next book where it says, I am here to glorify the Father. Okay? But this is where we got to remember Matthew 6, where thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. All right? Jesus is in everybody on the planet. It's almost like there's 8 billion little Jesuses walking around on this planet. There's almost 8 billion people on the planet. It's almost like there's 8 billion little Jesuses walking on the planet. Okay? Now, verse 8, which none of the princes of this world knew, for had they known it, they would not have crucified the Lord of glory. Okay? Now, think about the last time you called someone stupid. You called Jesus stupid. Think about the last time you called someone dumb, or you thought someone was dumb, ignorant, mean, cruel. Colossians 4, Jesus, whose name is Justice, look it up, I'm not going to show it now, alright? Okay? When was the last time you thought someone was doing wrong by our Father because they do something that you don't think is right? Instance, someone that's a homosexual. Is that wrong? Yeah. For me, it's wrong. Maybe it's wrong for you, but I don't know if it's wrong for someone else. And if I think it is, that's putting myself on the same pedestal as our Father. I'm not God. I'm not the Father, and that's not for me to judge, condemn, or to think wrong of. It's my commandment to love and have a compassion and try to understand whatever's going on. Okay? This is explained in the second book, and I don't know if I touch on it in the third and fourth book on the reincarnation. Okay, but this is where you have to really understand what the reincarnation is all about. Because now, if you believe, if a homosexual, if you can't stand a homosexual in this lifetime, and that's where God said the covenant's good for 1,000 generations or 1,000 lives, and it's going to Psalm 90, 70 or 80 years, whatever. All right, I don't want to get into all that. But if you can't stand homosexuals, you think it's really wrong, guess what you're going to be in your next life? If you can't stand a black person, you're going to be a black person. If you can't stand a white person, you're going to be a white person. Why? Because the ways of this world is to judge, condemn, to think of ourselves before others, to think of that we deserve more love than anyone else, or that man tends to think that they're more important to God than others. And all of us have equally transgressed his law together. None of us deserve any better treatment from our Father. We all equally, this is in James 2, have transgressed his law. If you break one, you break them all. Okay? There's nobody any better. There's nobody any worse. We're all equally stuck here in hell together. That's explained in the second book. Okay? We're in hell, yes. We're not going to get into all that tonight. But now think of this. All right? Pay attention to this. That verse 8, which none of the princes of this world knew. And these are the princes are people the spirits that have dominion over us. Okay? For had they known it, they would have not crucified the Lord of glory. This is where many people are going to be brought to shame. And I'm sorry, but this is the way it's got to be done. Our Father said there will be a lot of people that will be ashamed. Okay? But would have you treated everybody or others the way you've been treating them over the however long, if you had known that they were a part of the Son of God? Would have you treated them the same way? Would have you hated them the same way for just being who they are? You wouldn't have crucified them. But you did. Just for being who they were or who they are. You thought down on them. In our Father's eyes, they're equal. They're no better and they're no worse. Doesn't matter what color, what race, what nationalism, doesn't matter what size or shape. Doesn't matter what they've done, what they're doing, or what they will do. They are part of the Son of God. Would have you treated them the same way you did if you had known that they too were part of the Son of God? No, you wouldn't. You know it as well as I do. That's why our Father has put it in man's hearts so that he could not understand from the time of the beginning till the time of the end. Why? Is because he's testing our hearts every second of every day to see whether we will be for him or not. He doesn't condemn all of us. If he did, he would have never gave us another chance to learn how to love in the same way that he does. He doesn't make it about himself. He makes it about us. He wants us to learn how to love in the same manner that he loves. He doesn't want us to judge. He doesn't want us to condemn. He doesn't want us to crucify others just for being who they are. Because as far as we know, our Father is putting them in that position so that their soul can learn. That's what this is all about. That's part of us letting us make man in our own image. We're in school. We have schooling here on earth because we're in a heavenly school too. That's that precept upon precept, line upon line, a little bit here, a little bit there. That's what that's all about. Okay? We're in schooling like we have school here. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done in earth as it is in heaven. We're here to learn how to love in the same manner that our Father loves. Everybody, God has breathed part of himself. That's the life that he's breathed into every person that's ever been on this planet. All right. Sorry about that. We got to get back going on this video. Now, I know I got this out of place. Come on, where are you at? Sorry. I'm going to pause this so y'all anyway. All right, I guess I didn't have it out of place. Just in my mind, I was off track, whatever. Well, what I wanted to get into right now, what we're starting to get into, is why it's so important to believe in the writings of Moses, to believe in the Old Testament, to try to really understand what the Old Testament is all about. And yes, that is the rock that we build our house on. Okay, it's the Old Testament. That's our Father. Okay, but I want to read to you here. We're in John 5, verses 43 through the end. 43 through 47. I am come in my Father's name, and ye receive me not. If another shall come in his own name, him ye will receive. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another? I'm going to pause right there. Oh, wait a second. Let me read that. 44. How can ye believe which receive honor one of another, and seek not the honor that cometh from God only? Now I'm going to pause right there. Now we're going to go. I'm just going to mentally go back to Matthew 6. Remember how I said do your alms, pray in secret, and do your fasting. Don't let others know. Yes, I know. I told you all about my fast, whatever. We went over that. All right. Seeking honor, which receive honor one of another. Don't seek your honor from man. Okay? You seek your honor from man. You're not looking for the Father. You're not looking for a reward, and you're not going to be rewarded by our Father. Because he tells us. He tells us. You get rewarded by man, you lose your reward from him. You already have your reward. And that reward is junk. It's no good. Because it's going to be corrupted. It's not going to do you any good here. But the reward that you get from our Father up there in heaven lasts for eternity. Forever. I'd much rather have my rewards up there, wouldn't you? I mean, come on. Think about it. Give me $1 million now and I'll have it spent. Well, a hypothetical situation. Give me $1 million now, I'll have it spent in a year. Give me life with the Father and it lasts for eternity. That $1 million is junk. It's not worth crap. Eternity with perfection. Oh my gosh. Oh, wow. You can't get a better reward. Why would you want anything here? Work on getting those rewards from up there. Because they last forever. For all eternity. Any reward you get here lasts until you die. It's gone. It might not even last that long. Like I said, someone give me $1 million, I can spend it in a couple weeks. I can have a lot of things around that's going to break down and always cost me more money. It don't cost me anything to be with the Father. And it lasts for all eternity. I'll take my reward from my Heavenly Father. All right, get back on track. Sorry. Do not think I will accuse you to the Father. There is one that accuseth you, even Moses, in whom ye trust. For had ye believed Moses, ye would have believed me, for he wrote of me. But if ye believe not his writings, how shall ye believe of my words? Okay? Yes, and if you're still listening to this video, I think you've done some research in the Old Testament. There's some more believing than a lot of people do, because a lot of people think the Old Testament is just not for us. But if you're still watching, there's something inside of you that's clinging on, wanting to know the truth. I'm going to show you the truth. Now we're going to John 6. No man come to me. Just continue on for what I was just saying. John 6, verse 44. Show you all where I'm at. John 6, verse 44. No man come to me, except the Father which hath sent me draw him, and I will raise him up at the last day. It is written in the prophets, and they shall be all taught of God. Every man therefore that have heard and have learned of the Father cometh to me. If you don't learn of the Father, if you don't have any desire to learn about the Father, the rock, the God of the Old Testament, we will never meet. I'll guarantee it. If we do, I'll go back to John 5. And I'll never accuse you to the Father. This has happened live with me before. And I've told him, I will not accuse you to the Father. Because this particular person thought him and his color were the only ones that were going to heaven. And he was bound determined that was the only way the Bible could be. No. I don't care what color you are. You are equal to me. I am equal to you. We are all equally stuck here together. No ifs, ands, or buts. Never convinced me any different, because I've had the ultimate teacher teaching me. I know that is the way it is, without a shadow of a doubt. There's no way anybody could ever change my mind on that. All right, now, this is why it's so important to believe in the writings of Moses. And this is going to have This is going to get into some commentary that you all is just going to freak you out. Because it did me when it happened. All right. We are in Jeremiah 46, verse 8. Egypt riseth up like a flood, and his waters are moved like the rivers. And he saith, I will go up, and I will cover the earth. I will destroy the city and the inhabitants thereof. All right. Now, a couple things you need to know here. Egypt riseth up like a flood, and his waters are moved like the rivers, and he saith. Okay? Now, a lot of people look at Egypt being that country over there in the east. Listen to what that's saying. Egypt is a spirit, and it is a he. And he saith, I will go up, and I will cover the earth. It's a spirit. Remember how I said that the hour is that all that worship God must worship him in spirit? Okay? Egypt is a spirit. Egypt is water. Egypt is like a flood, and Egypt covers the earth. Yes, everybody's in Egypt. Everybody on the planet is in Egypt. Egypt covers the earth. Uh-oh. Oh, I know what that is. Okay. Luke 17. I just showed you all where Egypt rises up like a flood. This is something the Father had me introduce into the third book. And the book was published August of 2019. The Father sent me to Hawaii. I explain it in the book. I'm not going to go into details on it tonight. I'll just tell you the Father sent me to Hawaii in November of 2019, 3 months after the book was published. Okay? Now, as I'm on this flight, okay, I parked the truck in Monmouth, Illinois at the terminal for the company I was working for at the time, and my daughter come down and got me from Davenport, Iowa. I spent a day there before my flight took off, and we flew from Moline, Illinois to Denver. Short flight, 2-hour flight. I told you all I smoke cigarettes. All right? This is a key factor in this, how this played out. And I explain this in the books. In book 4 only. All right? But 2-hour flight's not that long to go without a cigarette. I'm not worried about having a TV to watch or anything. But when I fly, like when I flew to Israel, I like to have the TV to keep my mind off smoking cigarettes. That's quite a long flight to go without a cigarette. Anybody that smokes, they know that. All right. Well, anyway, I like to watch TV to keep my mind off smoking. And I won't sleep on a flight because I can't sleep on a flight. I always get a window seat. I've always been this way all my life. Every time I fly, I want a window seat because I like to watch everything outside. It's artwork to me. Well, anyway, got to Denver, and when we was over in Denver, they only had a 45-minute layover, and to get onto the connecting flight, and I didn't have time to go outside and smoke a cigarette. And don't worry about the smoking cigarettes, you know. Those are I explained that in the book, and I'm not going to go into it tonight. But anyway, got on the plane in Denver. It was going to Hawaii. It was like a 6.5-hour flight to Maui, and they announced on the speaker they didn't have any. When I got in the seat, you know, they didn't. It was a window seat because, like I said, I like to look out the window. They didn't have TVs. And I'm like, but they had these little things to hold your phone. And they said you had to download their app. Okay, so I started downloading their app so I could at least watch TV on my phone. And with my headphones to keep my mind off smoking. And then they come over the intercom, shut all electronic devices off. They're getting ready to depart, so forth. And I'm like, crap, I couldn't get it downloaded. I'm like, oh, this is going to be a boring flight, hard flight. And so I'm like, all right, well, when we get up in the air, I'll just play some solitaire on my phone. I can play solitaire without having the internet, whatever. And about a couple hours into the flight, I start looking out the window and just looking at things. You know, I had been glancing out the window, but now I was tired of playing solitaire because a couple hours playing the same game over a lot boring. And I started looking out the window, and all of a sudden I started seeing all these clouds started coming together, and they're all in a really weird looking. If you've ever traveled and you're outside of a city, you see all these buildings that are all vertical, different shapes and sizes, but they're all vertical. I started seeing this all come together in the clouds. I'm on the right side of the plane, if you will. We're flying southwest, from Denver to Hawaii, and I started seeing all these clouds out on the window, and they're all vertical, and they're all bunched in real close. They all start bunching in really close together, all different kinds of shades of gray and white, black, or blackish gray, or whatever you want to call it. They didn't have any lights on them like buildings would at night when you're going into a city, something I like to look at when I go into a city at night. But I'm seeing all this, and I mean, it looked really big, and I mean, there was just hundreds of these clouds that looked like vertical buildings. They started looking like buildings all bunched in together. If you've ever traveled, like I said, if you've ever traveled into a city and you see it from a far distance, and you see all those buildings, that's what it looked like. And I'm starting to be in total awe. I'm like, wow, I'm freaking out. And there's a couple next to me. They're on a honeymoon. They're going down there on their honeymoon. And I tapped, I asked them, I said, does that kind of look like buildings to you? They looked out, yeah, we can see that. You know, I mean, so it wasn't just me, you know. I'm sitting here freaking out. I'm not, it was like one of those things that, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And so, you know, and then I'm sitting there looking at it, you know, it's just, I'm sitting there in total awe. And then I started looking around, excuse me, I started looking around in other spots, and I looked out here, and I started seeing all these clouds that looked like they was underneath the city, if you will, in the clouds. And I started seeing all these really thin clouds spread out all over. Now, mind you, we're flying over the Pacific Ocean, and it's total blue down there. You know, I mean, just nothing but blue. And I started seeing all these thin clouds with spaces in between them, you know, gaps and so forth. And I could see spots of the Pacific Ocean. Well, now, I've been to the ocean several times, and it started looking like foam on top of the water. You know, like when a wave breaks, it creates that foam. You know, I don't know if you've ever been to the ocean or if you watch television and you see that foam on top of the ocean. It's spaced out like that. You know, it's not solid foam, but there's little gaps where you can see the water and you can see the foam. The foam's white. And I started seeing these. These were all spread out all over the place. And they were down low, like lower than the city. And I'm like, this is weird. You know, and then, you know, I don't know how much longer it was. I started looking right below the plane, and I started seeing, it looked like it was right, I don't know, we was flying at 32,000 feet, so I don't know how close or how far, how much lower than the plane they were. I don't, you know, I couldn't judge that, but I know they were at a different altitude than the clouds, the thin clouds that was out there, and they was, I would say, at a higher altitude than what looked like to be the city in the clouds that I seen. And I seen all these thin clouds underneath the plane. They were spaced out like the ones I seen out in the further distance. Well, now, mind you, we're in a jet. We're flying 500-600 miles an hour. I don't know how fast it was going. I don't remember, but I do. Well, anyway, so I'm looking out the window. When you're flying that fast up there to that high at 32,000 feet, it looks like things are just creeping by. So now I'm looking at these clouds out in the distance out here on the down to the southwest of me, and then I'm looking at these clouds underneath the plane. Now these clouds, and I can see the gap, that look like the foam on the ocean, but now it looked like these clouds were this much higher, and because the plane's flying so fast and everything looks like it's going by so slow because everything's so large, okay, it looked like these clouds were here that looked like they was just underneath the plane, looked like they was higher than the clouds over here, and they looked like they was higher than the city in the clouds. And it started looking like you ever watched a movie that had a great big tidal wave in it? That's what it looked like. It looked like a humongous wave. At this time, I literally started checking on my phone, and I started checking our altitude. I'm like, we got to be getting close. This can't, we can't be that far above the water. I looked at my phone because, you can look at your altitude, how much more flight time you got, how fast you're going and whatnot. And I'm sitting there thinking, we got like 3 more hours of the flight. We're only halfway there. We're still flying at 32,000 feet. And I don't remember precisely how fast we was going. I know it was a little over 500 mile an hour. Okay. But and I'm seeing this stuff, and it looked like these clouds underneath the plane it was on a great big wave. It looked like it was going to overtake those other thin clouds that I seen that was all spaced out looking like the foam. And then it looked like it was going to overtake that city. Well, then now I start seeing things that look like ships. I can see smokestacks on them. There was 4 or 5 of them lined up at looked like a pier or something of some sort. I don't know what it was. I mean, it was just so weird. I mean, it looked like great big long ships. I mean, I could see smokestacks. I could see different layers, like there was freight. You ever seen one of those container ships on TV that got all those containers? I could see like layers put on them. I mean, this was all in the clouds. I could see like layers on these ships. I could see smokestacks, and it was just so weird. There was 4 or 5 of them lined up like it looked like at some kind of pier or something. I don't know what it was. I mean, it was just, it was in the clouds, but it looked so lifelike, so real, but not real. Well, then I was noticing it looked like another ship. Now, this one wasn't lined up at the pier. This one, the plane was going southwest, so this ship was going northeast. Looked like it was going northeast. It looked like it was trying to come up that wave, that great big tidal wave. And the backside of that ship, I mean, it looked just like the other one, smokestacks. I could see different layers and stuff, but it looked like the backside of it was sinking into the water. I'm checking my phone, and I'm thinking, we can't be flying at 32,000 feet. I'm starting to think this stuff is right below the plane. And as we got closer to Hawaii, I started asking the Father, is that the flood that you had me talk about in the last book? Remind you, this was just 3 months after the 3rd book was published. I don't remember the exact day in August, but I know it was in August it was published. This was in November. And November 3rd or November 4th is when we flew out. This is when I saw all this. I saw that flood. I saw the spirit of Egypt from 32,000 feet. And I'll tell you, this flood is 4 or 5 miles deep. It's 4 or 5 miles deep. Oh, man. I didn't have a TV, but I can tell you I seen the best 3D movie I've ever seen in my life. Oh, that was just so awesome. I mean, I watched all this form outside of the window of the airplane at 32,000 feet. It was just so cool. I mean, it's just like, wow. Oh, man. And you could probably tell by the excitement when I just remember. I can remember seeing this, and it excites me. It's the best movie I've ever seen in my life, and it wasn't even a movie. But oh my gosh, it was just so cool. But anyway, now we want to go down here. Let's see here in Luke. Luke Verse 25 is where I want to start. Now, we've all heard that it will be just as the days of Noah in the end, or when Jesus returns, or something. I don't remember how it's worded. Okay, but as our Father has taught me, completely different. Now, I just explained to you that flood that I seen from 32,000 feet. It covers this entire earth. It's a spiritual flood. It's a he. Remember, it's a spirit of Egypt covers this earth. Okay? Luke chapter 17, verse 25. Now, in the last video, I told you how I must be rejected. And I told you earlier, this rejection is getting ready to end. And I know it is. All right, because our Father's been the one that's telling me. Luke 17, verse 25. But first, let's go with 24. For as the lightning that lighteneth out of the one part under heaven shineth unto the other part unto heaven, so shall also the Son of Man be in his day. Now, I'm going to comment on that. I'm a truck driver. And I have no idea where I'll be from day to day. I mean, yeah, I know where I'm going now. I don't know where I'm going to stop tomorrow. The Father will tell me where I'm stopping. The Father will tell me what time I'm taking off Saturday morning to get to where I'm going Saturday. Now, I have no idea where my next load's going to go, where it's going to entail. Okay? I have no idea who I'm going to meet, who the Father's going to put in front of me. I have no idea who I'm going to preach or teach to. That's up to the Father, not me. Just like the lightning in the sky reaches from one day to the next. I don't know where I'm going to be. You don't know where the lightning's going to be. I'm going to be the same way. It's the same way with me. All right? Oh yeah, I read verse 24. Verse 25. But first must he suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. I've written 4 books now. The 4th book is not available for sale. 3 books are, and they've all been published at least a year and 3 months. The last one was published a year and 3 months ago. First one was published April of 2015. And I don't think I've sold 20 books. I've passed out a lot of books, but I don't really think anybody's reading them. I don't know for sure. But I have yet to found anyone except John 4 the other night. When John 4 was being fulfilled, I spoke with that lady for 6 hours. And I think it says in John 4 it was about the 6th hour. It talks about the 6th hour. You know, that's the longest I've ever talked to anybody. I've had half-hour, 45-minute conversations with people, and that's usually the longest anybody can stand me, because I'm always talking about the Father. That's all I'm talking about. That's all I think about. I've explained that before. All right? But anyway. But first he must suffer many things and be rejected of this generation. And as it was in the days of Noah, so shall it also be in the days of the Son of Man. I just explained to you the flood that I seen with my own 2 eyes that the Father created. And I give a better explanation of that in the book. You can't, obviously you're not going to see the excitement that I get when I think about that day, you know, but in the book. But it gives a good description and the things leading up to that trip and everything. And I'm not going into all that tonight. They did eat, they drank, they married wives, they were given in marriage until the day of Noah, until the day that Noah entered into the ark, and the flood came and destroyed them all. Likewise, also, as it was in the days of Lot, they did eat, they drank, they bought, they sold, they planted, they builded. But the same day Lot went out of Sodom, it rained fire and brimstone from heaven and destroyed them all. Even thus shall it be in the day when the Son of Man is revealed. Name of the fourth book is Jesus is Here. Just as it was in the days of Noah, the earth was covered with water. The earth today is covered with water. I've seen it with my own two eyes. That water is the spirit of Egypt. That's why it's so important to believe the writings of Moses. Because this is what I've went through. I still believe, don't get me wrong, but I went through all that years ago. Okay? I tried to follow the law to the T. I lost a couple of jobs because of it. I didn't worry about it. I didn't care. If I was seeking the truth in the Bible, I didn't have to worry about it. I knew the Father would take care of it. At that time, I called him God. I didn't call him Father at that time. You know, like I said, it was somewhere in right around the time I was being baptized with the Holy Ghost is when I was conversing from God the Father, because as we're told in Matthew, in the book of Matthew, call no man on earth your father, for ye have one Father, and your Father be in heaven. That's not the exact words as it's quoted at. Okay, but anyway, that's why it's so important to believe the writings of Moses. So important to learn of the Father, because we're all in Egypt. We have to come out of Egypt, and there's many that are not going to come out of Egypt. Okay? We're going to be going over that here in just a little while. Oh my gosh, we're 2 hours and 11 minutes into this already. Wow. And I might be halfway done now. Okay? Alright, but anyway, I've seen this flood. The earth is covered in this water. And at the same time that everybody else is going to learn that this earth is covered in water, just like it was in the days of Noah, that's when the Father is going to reveal the Son of Man. The reason I'm making these videos, probably ain't going to be anybody that's going to watch this video. One of the first things you're going to look at is how long it is. They're not going to be interested. And, you know, and I've talked to the Father about that too. You know, if you're not interested, if you're not willing to take the time to try to understand him, really? Answer that one yourself. All right. Now, what the heck's going on here? Just taking all my highlights off. Why? Now I can't remember where I was. I gotta pause this. All right. Maybe the Father did that because I'm not sure. Maybe I'm not supposed to cover this little area, but I'm not gonna spend that much time on it. Okay. So maybe he's the one that did it, took the highlights off there. Yes, I believe he's in charge of everything. I know he is. Don't beyond believing. Oh my gosh. But 2 Peter chapter 1, verse 20, knowing this first, that no prophecy of the scripture is of any private interpretation, that the prophecy came not in old time by the will, I gotta take that off there, by the will of man, but holy men of God spake as they were moved by the Holy Ghost. Okay, this is why I touched on that part where earlier when I spoke about the section I put in the introduction into the third book that was published August of 2019, 3 months before man discovered in China that we had a virus unknown to man. Okay, and I said, be humble yourselves, and because this is going to be a devastating time for the whole world, okay. I didn't even realize I put that in there until after I got my copies in my hand. Okay, but these people, when they wrote the Bible, they weren't writing the Bible as it was happening. These were men that were sitting down somewhere like me, and they were being moved with the Holy Ghost. The Father was sending the Holy Ghost, making the Holy Ghost tell them, put it in their conscience. Okay, now that I mentioned the conscience, we're told 15 times to be sober-minded, or to think soberly, and there's 30 verses that mention our conscience. Okay? That's because that's half of the battle. Our Father talks to our conscience every day. All of us. He talks to all of us. Yes, I've been learning how to hear what he's saying. Okay? But he talks to you just the same way he does me. Then we'll save that for another time. About the Holy Mountain and so forth. I can't give you details. I explain that in the book why I can't. Alright? But, okay, when they wrote the Bible, it's like the King James Bible, the Bible that the Father used me. I think the first version of it was in the 1800s or something. Okay? It's talking about to think carnally thousands of years ago. Okay? They didn't write the Bible as it was happening. They wrote the Bible because they was being told what to write by our Father through the Holy Ghost. Okay? Now, I know there's a lot of people that think Jesus was here 2,000 years ago, and yes, there are things over in Israel and whatnot. That was because that was where I even seen a Google thing the other day that they found something to prove the birthplace or whatever of Jesus. Okay, I want to show you this, and this is in the books. All right. We got to listen to what's being said in the Bible. That's why the Father had me name the first book, Father, Forgive Us. We haven't been listening. Okay? But this is here in John 11, verse 9. Jesus answered, Are there not 12 hours in the day? If any man walk in the day, he stumbleth not, because he seeth the light of this world. Now, I'm going to ask you, how many hours are in a day? Okay? There are only 3 or 4 days a year, maybe 5 or 6, maybe 10 days a year that there are an equal amount of daylight hours as there are of darkness hours. Do you think Jesus is only talking about a couple days? Jesus was referring, are there not but 12 hours in the day? So let's do a little bit of a Google search, and I do this in the books, and I show the Google searches in the book. But on this Google search, for some reason, and I know I didn't want to take the time, but in the book I show 4.5. This Google search, when I did it, it shows 3.5 billion years ago. The day was only 12 hours long. That was from sundown to sundown, or sunrise to sunrise. The day was only 12 hours long. That's the last time Jesus walked this earth. Yes, we're living in the 1,000-year reign now. Remember, God told Jesus that, that he would be given this world. The only reason I'm here, the reason Jesus is here now, is to show you all what's going on, because our Father's getting ready to end this world. All right, you're going to understand that better here in the stuff we're getting ready to get into. Okay, but the last time Jesus walked this earth was 3.5 billion years ago. Now, these people that believe in all these artifacts and all these caves, so that, this is where Jesus was born, or this is what the sepulcher that Jesus was buried in. No. I'll show you this. Now we're going to read 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and we're going to read the first 11 verses. Okay? The first 11 verses. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Lord Jesus Christ, and by our gathering together unto him, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, that ye be not soon shaken in mind, or be troubled, neither by spirit, nor by word, nor by letter as from us, as for the day of Christ is at hand. Let no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come, except there be a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God, or that is worshipped, so that he, as God, sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Okay, I'm going to pause there. This is a whole nother video whole nother lesson, and is revealed in the third and fourth book, more so in the fourth book. The son of perdition is revealed. Okay? That great falling away is going to be falling away from this false Jesus that has been telling everybody, false God, that has been telling everybody that our perfect Father has changed. Okay? No. He hasn't changed. He's the same yesterday, today, and forever. He will never change. You can't take 1 iota of a millionth of a millimeter away from perfection and have it still be perfect. We don't want him to change. That great falling away is going to be falling away from that false Jesus, false God that's been telling everybody that our Father's changed, and they're going to start turning to our Father. There's the great falling away. Because the son of perdition is going to be revealed when this next book is available to the world. He's being revealed. Now my Qualcomm's acting weird. Anyway, back to verse 5. Remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you of these things. And now, and now ye know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work. Only he who now will let, until he be taken out of the way. And then shall that wicked be revealed, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth, and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with the deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they received not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause God shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. Remember, our Father's in charge of everything. And if your heart is set on this false God that has told you that perfection is changed and stayed perfect, he's going to send you a great delusion. You know, and I've got to make some commentary on this, because through all this training, all this schooling, all this teaching that the Father has put me through over these last few years, I have come across people telling me I'm a false Jesus. I am wrong for saying who I am. No, I'm not. You know, I've had to question the Father, and because I realize everyone's a servant, everybody's a vessel of God. You know, I had to ask the Father, Father, are you telling these people to tell me, am I doing this wrong? Am I thinking wrong and everything? And, my Qualcomm. And, you know, and I've had to go through this. I've had, you know, am I wrong for doing this? You know, I've went through this, and he keeps reminding me, David, remember, I've taught you how to love. And we all know God is love. So I haven't been taught by a false God. I haven't been taught to love myself more than others. I've been taught to love others more than myself. So I know I'm not the false. I'm not false. I'm the real deal. Because I've been taught by the real deal. And I'm proud of that. I don't take pride in myself, but I take pride in what the Father has taught me. And I give him all the glory for all that I know, all that I've learned, all that I share. Because without him, I don't exist. He's taught me that. So I know without a shadow of a doubt, he's not sending me a strong delusion that I believe a lie. Because he's sending me the truth on how to love others, not myself. not myself. Now, I just explained how Egypt riseth up like a flood. Now we are getting ready to get into some very heavy topics here. Oh my gosh, 2 hours and 24 minutes. Oh boy, we're just starting to get into this heavy stuff. I knew this was going to be a long video, but there's a lot of stuff that's in it. And I feel like the Father's telling me to do it, so I'm doing it. And I'm not going to bed until it's done. Because with the Father, this is the way I am. When I feel like I'm being commanded to do something, I jump. And I wonder if it's high enough later. Because as long as I'm trying to seek Him in everything that I do, and yes, that is why I consider myself to be I consider it not to be robbery, but I consider myself to be an equal to Him, because I do desire Him to be in everything that I do. Every step I take, every breath I breathe, every time I blink my eyes, I hope to be doing exactly what He needs me to be doing at the exact moment. So no, I don't consider it to be robbery to think of myself as an equal, because I want Him in everything I do, down to the very second. I won't show that in the scriptures tonight, but yes, that's why I don't believe it's robbery to think of myself as an equal, because He is everything. He's the reason for my existence. All right, get back on topic. The burden of Egypt. I just showed you the flood. He is a spirit. He covers the earth. He is a spiritual water that everybody is in. Okay? The burden of Egypt. Behold, the Lord riseth up rideth upon a swift cloud, and shall come into Egypt. With the idols of Egypt shall be moved at His presence, and the heart of Egypt shall melt in the midst of it. And I will set the Egyptians against the Egyptians, and they shall fight everyone against his brother, and everyone against his neighbor, city against city, and kingdom against kingdom. And the spirit of Egypt shall fail in the midst thereof, and I will destroy the counsel thereof. And they shall seek to the idols, and to the charmers, and to them that have familiar spirits, and go to the wizards. And the Egyptians I will give over to the hand of the true Lord, and the fierce king shall rule over them. I got to take that off there. Over them, saith the Lord of hosts. That's our God the Father. Okay? And I wanted to show you this because I'm showing you we're in Egypt now, and I want you to start thinking about the COVID-19, how it's affecting everybody. Everybody. I don't care who you are, it's affecting you, and I don't care where you are in the world. It's affecting you somewhere or another. Okay? It's affecting everyone. Now, this is something I want to talk about in the very first book our Father had me write. He had me do a whole big section on this, unbeknownst to me. I did not know back in 2015 when he had me write the first book that this was how he was going to do this at the end. But it is. He had me do, let me read this. Deuteronomy 28, verse 60 and 61. Moreover, he will bring upon thee all the diseases of Egypt, which thou wast afraid of, and they shall cleave unto thee. Also every sickness and every plague, which is not written in the book of this law, them will the Lord bring upon thee until thou be destroyed. Okay, now in the very first book, I don't remember how long the section was, but there was a 5, 6, 7 page section that the Father had me do on this. I didn't know at that time when he had me do it. Like I told you, he has me put things in the Bible, or in the book, in the books that are for the future, and I didn't know. I did not know. But he had me do a whole section on this. And at that time, I wrote about AIDS, because AIDS is not talked about in the Bible. There was a few other diseases and so forth that I wrote down that's not talked about in the Bible. Okay? Well, guess what? COVID-19 is not talked about in the Bible either, in the book of the law. But it's affecting everybody on the planet. Now, remember how I just showed you Egypt is covering the earth? His spirit is water, covers everything. COVID-19. Now, this is 2 Chronicles chapter 15. I'll just read the first 5 verses, highlighting verse 5. And the Spirit of God came on Azariah the son of Oded, and he went out to meet Asa, however you want to pronounce it, and said unto him, Hear ye me, Asa, and all Judah and Benjamin. The Lord is with you, while ye be with him. And if ye seek him, he will be found of you. But if ye forsake him, he will forsake you. Listen to what that said. But if ye seek him, he will be found of you. But if you forsake him, he will forsake you. If you don't seek the Father, you're forsaking him. That's how you defile the temple of God. You are the temple of God. Okay? The temple was not made with hands. You are the temple of God. If you don't try to learn who our Father is, you don't pay, in my view, it would be a lot of regard to the Old Testament, you're defiling the temple of God. That's another subject. I explain that in the books. Now, verse 3, Now for a long season Israel hath been without the true God, and without a teaching priest, and without law. But when they in their trouble did turn unto the Lord God of Israel, and sought him, he was found of them. And in those times there was no peace for him that went out, nor to him that came in. But great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. Okay, look how the COVID-19 is in all the countries throughout the world. See how that's saying? There was no peace to him that went out, nor to him that came in. Anytime you walk out your door, anytime you go anywhere, anytime you come back to your house, wherever you live, COVID-19 somewhere on your mind. Great vexations were upon all the inhabitants of the countries. It's everywhere. There's no escaping it. It's everywhere throughout the world. One way or another, you have been affected somehow by the COVID-19. No peace to go out when you go out. No peace when you come back in. When you travel anywhere, something about COVID-19 is going to be on your mind, some way or another. The Bible is about our lives today. All right. I'm going to pause this because I'm going to make me some more coffee. This is going where we're getting into some really heavy stuff. Back in a second. Okay, I'm sorry. I had to make some coffee. Yes, okay, there's another asset I have. I have a coffee pot. The Father provides me with everything I need. I am happy. I am extremely happy with everything that I've got. And I have nothing. I gave you all an inventory earlier. That's off topic. But yeah, I got a coffee pot too. I forgot to mention that. It's a Mr. Coffee pot. I think it cost me $20. But anyway, no, the TV's not mine. That belongs to the company. They furnish it in the truck. Anyway, like I told you, we're getting ready to get into some very strong topics, and now I gotta tell you how this worked. Back in January of this year. Okay, now unbeknownst to me, I didn't know about the COVID-19, and we'll get into that. We'll get into that a little bit later. We're more into that here in a little bit. Okay, but back in January, I was listening, and I explained this in the books. I was listening to the Bible. I told you I've listened. And I was listening to the book of Daniel. And it got to the last chapter of Daniel, where Daniel is told to put up the books until the end. It's not the exact words and so forth, but that he was told to shut up the books. Well, right after I listened to that, I got one chapter of Hosea. That's the chapter that follows Daniel. And I got one chapter of Hosea listened to, and my CD player kicked out my CD. I don't know why. I put it back in, it wouldn't work. It kicked my CD player, and I tried everything. Tried cleaning everything, cleaning the CD. My CD player quit working. I couldn't listen to the Bible no more. But then I remembered that was just after I listened to Daniel, where Daniel was told to shut up the books until the end. Okay. So I took it as the Father saying, stop listening to the Bible. So I turned on the radio because, we are one. I'm one with the Bible. I'm one with the Father. Okay? So everything in the Bible, I look at it as it's talking to me. And I explain that in the books. The Bible to me comes to life. I mean, and I do some days miss it, but I'm afraid to turn it back on because he told me to stop listening to it. But there's some days I really miss it, and I really long for it. But he told me to start listening to the news. Well, I started listening to the news. And then, mind you, I'm telling you, this is going to bother a lot of people. But you might as well know now, it's in the book. It's coming out. It's going to be going out throughout the world here next couple months. However long it takes this new publisher to get all this uploaded and get the ebook. That's what it was earlier. I was trying to remember. The ebooks, they got to get the ebook uploaded and so forth. Because it's going to be in the ebook format too. That's what I was trying to remember earlier. All right. Now, we got to go to the chapter. I was listening to the news. And I heard a president come on and say, we are fighting an invisible enemy. And as soon as I heard him say that, because I've listened to the Bible, the Father's had me listen to it so many times, and certain things just trigger off keyword. It's like a keyword, and it just triggered off a whole lot of stuff in the Bible. And our president said, we are fighting an invisible enemy. And I mean, it just downloaded like now. That's kind of how I look at it. I mean, it's just like it's almost like my jaw dropped. It didn't. I was driving, but I mean, it was just like, wow. I know what's going on. I knew it right then and there. Now, I know a lot of people, when they go to this in Genesis where it says, let us make man in our own image, they think that means we look like them. So we need to look here in the book of Colossians, chapter 1. We're going to go down, we're going to start with verse 11. Strengthened with all might, according to his glorious power, unto all patience and long-suffering with joyfulness, giving thanks unto the Father, which hath made us meet to be partakers of the inheritance of the saints in light, who have delivered us from the power of darkness, and have translated us into the kingdom of his dear Son, in whom we have redemption through his blood, even the forgiveness of sins, who is in the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of every creature. Man is fighting an invisible enemy. Man is fighting our Father. Man will lose this war. Guaranteed. Ecclesiastes 1. By the way, I had to switch. Oh, I got a tablet too. I forgot to tell you about that. That's in my assets. Daggone it. I forgot about that. I got a tablet. It cost $150 or something like that. It goes on my cell phone bill. I had to switch that's why all the highlights were going away. I got too many things uploaded on here, and I've used all my high-speed data on the phone, so I had to switch over to my tablet because I still got high-speed data. That way things would speed back up and the highlights would stay there. Sorry about that. But anyway, I want to go to Ecclesiastes 1 because what we're getting ready to talk about in the next is, yes, this is how the Father in the first book introduced me into reincarnation, but also this is a time where everybody's got to realize if it's happened before, it's going to happen again. All right? Let's just go and read it. Ecclesiastes 1, verse 8. All things are full of labor. Man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be. And that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It hath been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things, neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after. Now, that verse 11 there, no remembrance of things to come after, that to me just sticks. That's reincarnation. How can anybody remember of things to come with those that shall come after? Unless you're reincarnated. But anyway, that's not what this is about. If it's happened before, it's going to happen again. This is why we're covering this tonight, because we're going now to Revelation 12. To Revelation 12. And I'm going to try to explain it a little bit like I did in the book. There, you drink coffee. All right. Revelation chapter 12. Well, we might even read the whole thing. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon. No, we're only going to read the first part. And a moon. Well, whatever. I don't know what we're going to read. Sorry. And there appeared a great wonder in heaven, a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars. And she, being with child, cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. And there appeared another wonder in heaven, and behold, a great red dragon, having 7 heads and 10 horns and 7 crowns upon his heads. I explained what those horns and crowns and so forth. I explained that. The 7 heads are the 7 continents. I explained that in the books. Let's not get sidetracked. We're already way into this. And his tail drew the third part of the stars of heaven, and did cast them to the earth. And the dragon stood before the woman which was ready to be delivered, for to devour her child as soon as it was born. And she brought forth a man-child, who was to rule all nations with a rod of iron. Remember, that man-child is everyone on the planet. Okay? Rod of iron, and her child was caught up unto God and to his throne. And the woman fled into the wilderness, where she have a place prepared of God, that they should feed her there 1,260 days. And there was war in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon, and the dragon fought and his angels, and prevailed not. Neither was their place found any more in heaven. And the great dragon was cast out, the old serpent called the devil, and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Now, we're not going to go into all this, but this is where you got to really understand the beginning of the Bible. This is how it began. Satan and his angels, or a third of the stars, were cast to earth. Okay? Then remember, God breathed life into man so that man became a living soul. Okay? Verse 10, and I heard a loud voice saying in heaven, now is come salvation and strength in the kingdom of our God and the power of Christ. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, which accused them before our God day and night. Remember how I was talking about, everybody's part of the Son of God. Everybody carries the cross, no matter what color, what race, what nationalism, what size or shape, what they've done, what they're doing, or what they will do. When was the last time you accused someone of doing wrong? When was the last time you accused someone of being the wrong color to satisfy your desire in life? Those aren't the ways of God. Those are not the ways of God. Verse 11, and they overcame him with the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony, and they loved not their lives unto the death. Remember that. They loved their lives not unto the death. It's not about our lives. It's about helping others. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. For the devil is come down unto you, having great wrath, because he knoweth that he have but a short time. Now, something I'm going to tell you tonight that you're not going to like, but it's going to happen. At the same time that the son of perdition is being revealed, which he's being revealed when this next book comes out, Satan simultaneously is being loosed. You'll understand it better when you read the books. I'm not going to go into detail. That's another video or another lesson, but that's in the books. But at the same time the son of perdition is being revealed, Satan is going to be loosed, for he knows he only has but a short time. You'll understand what that means when you read the books. And when the dragon saw that he was cast unto the earth, he persecuted the woman which brought forth the man-child. And the woman were given 2 wings of a great eagle, that she might fly into the wilderness, into her place, where she be nourished for a time and times and a half a time from the face of the serpent. And the serpent cast out of his mouth water as a flood after the woman, that he might cause her to be carried away of the flood. And the earth helped the woman, and the earth opened her mouth and swallowed up the flood, which the dragon cast out of his mouth. And the dragon was wroth with the woman, and went to make war with the remnant of her seed, which keep the commandments of God and have the testimony of Jesus Christ. Now, the reason we read Ecclesiastes 1, if it's happened before, it's going to happen again. Okay, when Satan was cast to earth, Satan and his angels, or a third of the stars, were cast to earth. Satan was the only one that was locked up, for those that have the ears to hear. All right? But when it was cast to earth, this is happening again. Now, I want you to picture this. We're going to go back up to the top of Revelation 12. Okay? And I want you to imagine looking up into the sky. Obviously, you're listening to the computer, or however you're looking at this, listening to this video. All right? Okay? Imagine looking up into the sky and try to picture a woman. Okay, this woman is clothed with the sun. The moon is under her feet. All right? I don't know about you. It's like today I was driving, middle of the afternoon, I could see the moon. I could see the moon in daylight. It wasn't dark outside. I could see the moon. All right? But try to picture this. And then upon her head, a crown of 12 stars. Which 12 stars? I don't know. We don't know. Okay, but now try to picture her up there. She's clothed with the sun. The moon's under her feet. Okay, now I want you to imagine this woman And I think this is the way I put it in the book. Imagine her with long blonde hair. Now, think of her being pregnant. Thinking of her being real close to being carrying that child for 9 months. But now remember, this is a spiritual woman, and you're looking up at her in the heavens. She's got the sun shining on her. You know, the moon's under her feet. She's got 12 stars wrapped around her head. All right? She's got long blonde hair. She's got this great big belly. All right? Now I want you to do this. I want you to think of that belly, and we're going to look inside that belly, and we're going to see the earth. Yes, the earth. Inside her belly. Inside her womb. She conceived as a virgin. She didn't have sex with anyone. She's getting ready to give birth to the Son of God. Everybody on the planet makes up the one Son of God. Okay? We all have to go through these together. Now, okay, I told you about my trip to Hawaii earlier. I might be jumping ahead here. Okay. I want to go over a couple spots in the scriptures where we're told that everybody's going to be in pain as they're in labor. Right now we are in Jeremiah 30, verse 5. For thus saith the Lord, we have heard a voice of trembling, of fear, and not of peace. Ask ye now, and see whether a man doth travail with child. Wherefore do I see every man with his hands on his loins, and as a woman in travail, and all faces are turned into paleness. Look at all the pain that we're all going through. Okay? From this COVID-19. Look at all the suffering. Look at all the jobs that are lost. Look at all the illnesses, the deaths. Okay? We're spiritually, not physically, but we're all suffering or going through labor pains with our mother that is above us. That's something I didn't show, and I'm going to show it right now. We'll just go to Bible Gateway. We're going to go to Galatians 4. That's where we're going to go. Okay. Let's see, where was it? Verse 26. Right here. This is our mother. This is the womb we're in. But Jerusalem, which is above, is free. Which is the mother of us all. There's our mom. There's our mother right there. That woman we just pictured, that's our mom. That's our mother. She's the one that's getting ready to give birth to us. We're in her womb. The whole entire earth is in her womb. Now I got to get back to my place. Oh. That's not my place, but I forgot to go through there and highlight it again because on the other data I lost the highlights. That's Jeremiah 30, where everybody sees everybody in the Lord. Isaiah 13 is the same thing. How ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. And they shall be afraid. Pangs and sorrows shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. They shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. they shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. We're all in the womb. We all got to go through these labor pains together. Now, I want to I want to explain this. Yeah, I think I need to do these next 2 Google searches first. Okay, we all know when a woman's pregnant, when she's getting close to delivery, the water breaks. This is when the contractions start, and the longer it takes after the contractions, or after the water breaks, the harder and the stronger and the harder and the closer together the contractions get. But the contractions, the closer it gets to actually the delivery of the child, the contractions get they get to be extreme. Okay. Now, the reason we're going over this, okay, we already pictured this woman up in Jerusalem. Or, I'm sorry, a woman of Jerusalem, our mother, up in heaven. We've seen the earth in the womb of her. Okay, we have to kind of use a little bit of imagination, to kind of see this. But we try to picture this woman with the big belly, and the earth is inside the belly, and the earth is getting ready to come out of the belly. Okay, now, need to explain when this water broke. All right, this is where I started talking earlier about when the Father sent me to Hawaii. I left on November 4th of last year. When I first originally booked the trip, I went down there from the 4th. I was going to come back on the 11th. As soon as I got down there, and I was just so amazed with the flood that I seen, and so forth. And the day I got down there, I was like, I want to stay a couple extra days. It cost a little money. So I called the dispatchers where I worked and so forth. And they, hey, can I stay a couple extra days? I'm not a man that takes time off. I don't ever take time off work because the Father's got me working all the time, and I'm not really working as long as I'm doing what He's telling me to do, okay? Because I'm doing it out of the love of everybody else. Well, anyway, let's not get off topic. I get down there, and I said, I want to just stay a couple extra days. Mind you, I do nothing on my own. All right? I do nothing on my own. When I wanted to stay a couple extra days, I wanted to stay because what I thought was I just wanted to take a couple extra days of leisure time in Hawaii. I've never been to Hawaii before. And I explained this, and I guess I'm going to kind of explain it now. I explained it in the book. When I first booked the trip, I had been going through some chastisement. That's what I've talked about in Hebrews. All be without chastisement. I don't know how it's worded. But our Father chastises all of us. And I thought I was going through really rough times at work, and I thought, I'm just going to take a vacation. I'm going to get away. So I booked a trip to Hawaii. And I thought when I first booked it, I thought I was going down there on my own. And then, obviously, well, let me put it this way. When I was flying down there and I seen that flood, and it didn't dawn on me until after I was in Hawaii for a couple days, okay? But I realized I didn't come that well. Okay, I need to back up. All right, it was like 2 or 3 days before I was going to Hawaii. My flight left. The dispatcher called me up and he said, "Hey, I want you to have a good time in Hawaii." The Father told me the day before that. He says, "You're being sent." So now I thought I was going down there to teach, to talk to people, pass out books, whatever, I don't know. I just thought I was going down there to do that because the Father and I just published the 3rd book in August, okay? And I told my dispatcher, I said, the Father done told me, he said, I'm being sent. I'm not going down there for fun. Well, when I got down there, okay, after seeing that flood, that didn't connect in my mind yet. That's why I was being sent. That didn't connect in my mind. I just wanted to stay in the wonderful weather, I wanted to go snorkeling. I wanted to go check out the blue water, the sea and everything. I'm not trying to make anybody jealous of me going to Hawaii. I'm just trying to explain it, Well, a couple days after being down there, I realized there's no way I could have seen that flood if I wasn't on that flight at that exact time that I was on there. So it's kind of like, wow. I thought I was doing it to get away from work. The Father let me know I was being sent. I thought I was being sent to teach. I was being sent so that I could see that flood. All right? So anyway, I asked company for a couple extra days. I do nothing on my own. So I come back on November 13th. I got back from Hawaii on November 13th. It was November 19th. I'm sorry, November 17th. Earliest case detected on November 17th. 17 November. Okay. I got back on the 13th. Now, I was in the writings of the 4th book, and I was wondering when the water broke. And I don't remember exactly what day it was, but there was one night I was talking to a friend, and I always talk about the Father. I don't care who I'm talking to. I'm bringing the Father into the conversation, and I was trying to add. I was asking her. I was under the understanding that the world was in labor. I'm in the midst of writing the 4th book, and I knew he was in labor, but I was like, I don't know when the water break or when the water's gonna break. I wasn't sure. And then I was thinking maybe it was when I was baptized with the Holy Ghost. Maybe it was when I went to Israel. Well, I was talking to Kathy. Nothing ever come from it. Well, the next day I was talking to my son, and I was going through the same conversation with him. And because I know everybody's a servant, everybody's a vessel of God, sometimes some people will tell me something that I've explained this in other videos, and I explained it in the books, but sometimes God will have other servants, other vessels say something that will click something off. Just like when he had President Trump say, we're fighting an invisible enemy. That clicked a lot of things off. Okay? So I was talking to my son, and I was telling him, I don't know when the water break. And then I was like, oh, hold on a minute. And I'm driving down the road, and all of a sudden, as I'm talking to my son, I tell him to hold on a minute, because all of a sudden the image of me sitting in the plane and looking out the window and seeing those clouds, that made the city, and seeing the foam over there down low, seeing the foam right underneath. I seen all of it real quick, run right, I visioned it. Not that I couldn't see the road or anything, but I visioned it. I mean, I just had that picture in my mind. And it's just like, oh, wow, And I knew it right then and there. That's when the water broke. When I seen the flood, this is how the water broke. See, I got on the plane. I went up to 32,000 feet. I seen the flood below me. I was outside of the water. I was outside of Egypt, looking down into Egypt, looking down into the flood, looking down on the waters. That's when the water broke. November 17th, 4 days after I got back from Hawaii, China discovered its first case of a COVID-19 unknown virus to mankind. The invisible enemy that started taking over the world. In the book, I show you how the Father told me that it had been here since last summer of 2019, but it did not erupt to man's knowledge until 4 days after I got back from Hawaii, after I seen the flood below me, after I broke the water that surrounds the earth. The womb of Jerusalem, our mother above, the water broke. Now, the COVID-19 first contraction after the water broke. As you can tell, that's a pretty strong contraction. It's affected the whole world. The economic troubles, shutdowns, whatever you want to call it, is the second was the second contraction. Okay? Troubling the whole world. Every country's, most of the countries, I don't know if every one of them, but every country is affected of this COVID-19 some way or another, economically also. Okay? Our Father is destroying the economic structure as well as taking us out with those illnesses that he said that he would do. We went over that in Deuteronomy 28:61. He said he would do it. Don't take his name in vain. He will do exactly what he said he's going to do. And he's doing it now. Okay? The COVID-19, first contraction. Economic shutdown, second contraction. And I'll tell you how I put it in the third book, in the fourth book. The third contraction was the racial tensions. Now, I used that, the Father had me use that to show explicitly and really strong how they above us have a strong dominion over us. And they do. And the Father had me really lay that out in the fourth book, and I'm not going to go into tonight, but that was the third contraction. And we all have been feeling the labor pains since all that started. We're still feeling the labor pains. And mind you, we are in hard labor now. Everybody in the whole world, everybody on the planet, everybody makes up the one Son of God. Everybody's in the womb of our mother above us. Okay? And we're all getting ready to come out of her womb. All of us. And our Father's testing our hearts to see whether we're going to be for Him or whether we're going to be for Satan. Are we going to love our Father, or are we going to love the one that thinks he's better than our Father? Oh. What I have here in 1 Thessalonians 5, chapter 5. See, there's something I forgot to re-highlight. Or maybe it's something I just didn't take down from the video the other night. I don't know. If I remember it, I'll come back to it. Now, all right, drink coffee. They are starting to talk hard and heavy about these vaccines. I made a video and I've showed you all before, and this is in the book. I've made the public proclamations. I will not take a vaccine. I will not get tested. I will not do anything to try to save my life. And yes, that's part of the reason I smoke. I explain that in the book. Okay, the Father told me, I'm not going to get into that. We're getting close to the end, and we're already over 3 minutes, so I'm not going to get into that. Okay? But they're talking about these vaccines, and I'm going to tell you what I'm hearing when they're talking about these vaccines. Now, they got 3 of them or whatever, and they're talking about being able to start distributing them next month. Here's what I'm hearing without hearing the actual words. I'm hearing them say peace and safety. We need to look at 1 Thessalonians chapter 5, verse 3. Let's start with verse 1. But of the times and seasons, brethren, ye have no need that I write unto you. For yourselves know perfectly that the day of the Lord so cometh as a thief in the night. For when they shall say peace and safety, then sudden destruction, I got to get that highlight off there. Then sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. I got to pause this. I got to get it, Thomas. All right, back to verse 3 there. For when they shall say peace and safety, the sudden destruction cometh upon them, as travail upon a woman with child, and they shall not escape. That's why I think I had 1 Thessalonians. Yeah, I had it twice. One of the times was about the travail in the woman. That's why I did it. That's why I had that other one. Okay, but when they shall say peace and safety, I'm hearing that peace and safety. Now, I don't know what that sudden destruction cometh is. Here's what I'm thinking. And I'm not... Yeah, I think the Father's pretty well told me this too. This COVID-19 cases. We're not going to go in this the statistics on it tonight of how many percentages. But now, right now, they're close to getting 200,000 people a day. And I think the Father's been telling me it's going to go anywhere between 300,000 to 500,000 new cases a day. Now, what's going to happen? They're talking about, I was listening to them on the news today, they say about 12% of all people that get infected of this COVID-19 usually have to go to the hospital. Now, a certain percentage of them are going to go into the ICU units, and a certain percentage of those are going to die. Now, if you start thinking about 300,000 to 500,000 new cases a day, you take a certain percentage, I don't know what 12%, 10% of, let's just go with 300,000, 10% of 300,000, I do believe would be 3,000. Am I doing my math correctly, or is that 30,000? I think it's 3,000. I'm going to pause this, grab my, oh, you know what? I got to pause this. I got to get my calculator. All right, let's just figure this out. And I'm not doing it on here. You can grab a calculator if you want to do it yourself. I know I can put up a calculator on that, but I'm not going to deal with all that right now. Let's just take 300,000. Let's just say minus 88%. That'll give us the total. Say 12% of those have to go into the hospital, and that's 36,000. Well, I'm glad I got the calculator because I was way off. 36,000 people going into the hospital per day, 2 to 6 weeks after they're infected. Okay, 36,000. Let's just say half of those, which would be 18,000, need ICU. And let's just go with 10% of that 18,000. We're already above that. We're already at 2,300 people dying a day. So 18,000. If you go 18,000 of 10%, that would only be 1,800 dying. Well, we're already above that. So we're looking at 4, 5, 10,000 people dying per day. Because here's what's going to happen. When they get that many cases and that many people need in the hospital, every day, we're going to get, the hospitals are going to get so overwhelmed everywhere. This is what's going to happen. Because the case count's going to get so high, there are going to be so many people that's going to need hospitalization. Hospitals are not going to be able to take in all the COVID-19 cases, rather than all the other health problems that people are having. Heart attacks, strokes, kidney failures, whatever. I don't know what other health problems people might need to go to the hospital for, but they're not going to be able to be treated just as well because the hospitals are going to be so overwhelmed. Amos 8, chapter 3, verse 3, Amos chapter 8, verse 3, and I think I have this listed in Jeremiah or Isaiah in the book. I might have it in Amos. I might show Amos also. Because this is in the book, and as I've been trying to show you all, the Father has me write things in the book that's coming up. Okay, He had me should put this in the book. So I am 100% confident this is coming, and this is going to be hard for a lot of people, and I ask you to brace yourself. Because we're going to read this. The first 3 verses of Amos 8. Thus hath the Lord God showed unto me, and behold, a basket of summer fruit. And he said, Amos, what seest thou? And I said, a basket of summer fruit. Then said the Lord unto me, the end is come upon my people of Israel. I will not again pass by them any more. And the songs of the temple shall be knowing in that day, saith the Lord God. There shall be many dead bodies in every place. They shall cast them forth with silence. Yes, there are going to be dead bodies laying around all over the place because the hospitals are not going to be able to take people in. It's going to be hard for a lot of us to deal with. It's going to be a very sad time. But these are all labor pains that we all have to go through. We have to go through. I'm not going to show it now. Okay? Just because people die does not, you know what? I am going to show it. I got to pause this. Now, what I was saying, it doesn't matter if people have died or not. They still belong to Christ. It's Romans 14, verse 8. For whether we live unto the Lord, or whether we die unto the Lord. Whether we live, therefore, or die, we are the Lord's. Okay? If they're dying, there's a purpose for it. They have finished fulfilling whatever role they needed to fulfill. This is explained in the books, okay? That doesn't mean that they've necessarily done wrong, but they've done exactly what they were supposed to do. They're done. They're no longer needed here on earth, so they die. But now, see, our Father's doing it more. So that doesn't mean that anybody that's died has done wrong. It doesn't mean that. Don't think that. Okay? We don't know. Doesn't matter if we live or die. Okay? We belong to the body of Christ. Everybody on the planet does. Now I got to get back to where I was. Well, let's go ahead and read verse 9 there. For to this end Christ both died and rose and revived, that he might be Lord of the dead and living. See, everybody belongs to Christ. Don't think just because someone's died doesn't mean that they have done wrong. That does not mean that. Get back to where I was here. Showed Amos 8. All right. Luke 21. This is going to be a time, and this is part of what I was just talking about. This is Luke 21, verse 26. And yes, this is something that the day I heard the President Trump say this is going to be that we was fighting an invisible enemy, and all this downloaded. Yes, this is one of the very first things that brought to my mind. And when I called the publisher on it, the new publisher, I told her about it. She goes, "Oh my gosh, yeah, you're right." So yeah, all right. But Luke 21, verse 26, men's hearts failing them for fear, and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, of the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Okay? I just explained to you all how I seen the flood, I seen the water, how it was me that broke the water. The world's in labor, hard labor. These are contractions. Now, I myself, and I think I put this way in the book, I used to, years ago, think that was going to be asteroids or something of the other coming down. No. What's going on right now is why men's hearts are going to start failing. Because everybody's getting ready to learn that this is all coming from above. This is our Father doing this. Okay? And people are going to start realizing there's no way of getting out of this. And I want to make that note right here, right now. Okay? The water's broke. Our mother is in labor. There is no stopping. I have to make a joke on this. Oh, it's actually a true story, but I gotta do it. If she ever watches this video, she'll probably let me hear about it. But when my daughter was born, okay, she's 19 now. She's that's the daughter that's got my mom and dad, reincarnated. But when my daughter was born, Kathy, her mother, was saying that during the labor, after her water broke, she quit. She tried to quit. She goes, "I'm done. I'm not doing this no more." I was in the labor room with her. Obviously, we all know she didn't quit. She can't quit. Okay, once the water breaks, there's no stopping it. There's nothing anybody can do. This is not going to go away. This is not something man's going to win. They can think about it, and people can dream about it all they want. It's not going to happen. The water has been broke. Our mother is in hard labor right now. We all are feeling the contractions. We're dealing with the labor pains. We've got stronger, closer, and harder contractions coming. I don't know how bad they're going to be, and I don't know exactly what the Father's going to do. And I'm not sure if when we get to 300,000 to 500,000 new cases a day, if that's going to be the next contraction or if that's just going to be more of the labor pains. But I do know this. There's no way to stop it. Okay? There's absolutely no way. It's going to happen. It's going to get worse. It's going to get harder. And it's going to be a lot more emotional for a lot of people. Because a lot of people are getting ready to realize that we all are getting ready to die. Okay? Jeremiah 34. This is where I want to talk about. Okay. It's not about you. It's not about your life. It's about what you can do for others, how you love others as you love yourself. Okay? Jeremiah 34. I will give them into the hand of their enemies, and into the hand of them that seek their life. And their dead bodies shall be for the meat unto the fowls of the heaven, and the beast of the earth. This is more about the dead bodies laying around everywhere. Okay? But the reason we wanted to bring this one up is because those that seek their life. Taking this vaccine so you can stay here. You're spiritually telling the Father, I'd rather stay in Satan's world, Satan's kingdom, instead of being there with you. That's the mark. That's the mark of the beast. That's your blood transfusions. That's your organ transplants. That's your taking your vaccine. That's doing things saying, I spiritually telling our Father, I'd rather be here than with you. There's your mark. It's not physical. It's not a tattoo. It's not a chip or anything like that. It is you spiritually saying to our Father, without saying a word. Okay? That's why we're said, we won't cover that, show that tonight, but if we're told the mark will be on their right hand or on their forehead. Okay? That's you doing whatever you can with your right hand to stay alive. That's you in your mind saying, I got to survive. I've got to live. It's about me. I can't help others. I got to live. I got to survive. You just lost your life with the Father. That's why I smoke. I explain it in the books. I will not quit smoking until I quit breathing. Excuse me. Them that seek their life, our Father will give you for meat of the fowls of heavens and to the beasts of the earth. It's not about you. It's about others. Now, 1 Peter chapter 4, we went over this the other video. We're going over it again. But the end of all things is at hand. Be ye therefore sober, and watch unto prayer. And above all things be fervent. Have fervent charity among yourselves, for charity shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality to one another without grudging. As every man hath received the gift, even so minister the same one to another, as good stewards of the manifold of grace of God. Manifold of grace of God. We kind of went over that others. It's about others. You know, how you use hospitality one to another without grudging. Rejoice. Yes, we all got to go through these labor pains together. Let me see. I got to find my spot. John 16. Here we go. Verse 21. I just explained to you how our mother above is in labor. The earth is in her womb. The waters broke. We're in hard labor. We're going through the contractions. John 16, verse 21. A woman, excuse me, a woman when she is in travail have sorrow, because her hour is come. We are all in sorrow, and I show this in the books. Excuse me. I show this in the books. I'm not going to show in the scriptures tonight, but we are the woman. We are married unto God. God is married unto us. Okay, this is all shown in the books, and I'm not going to show it on the video. You will get a better comprehension of what I understand, what the Father's taught me, how the Father, through reading the books. That's why I'm the author. Okay? Her hour has come. But as soon as she is delivered of the child, she remembereth no more the anguish for joy that a man is born into the world. When was the last time you ever heard of a woman giving birth to a man? You haven't. But that's what we're doing. Everybody makes up the one Son of God. Everybody will be rewarded for whatever they've done, if they've done right by God. And everybody will be punished or chastised for whatever wrong they've done. There, God shows no favor. Our Father shows no favor of anybody. It doesn't matter. You done wrong, you're going to pay for it. You done right, you're going to be rewarded for it. Nobody knows what the other one's done. If anybody else, everybody's got their own individual commandments. Everybody. Nobody's got the same too. Okay? But rejoice. We're going through these labor pains, but we're getting ready to advance into the next world as one. So yes, we're going through hard times, but we got a reason to smile about it too. Because our suffering here is about done. It's about done. It's going to get hard. It's going to get harder. It's going to be emotional. There's got to be a lot of grievances going on. We're going to get through this. Get to know our Father. Get to understand what He's doing. And rejoice. And look forward to what comes next. Because we, as one, are getting ready to be born into the next world. Now, I explained to you this is the last part of the video. It's about time. 3 hours and 26 minutes. Oh my gosh. This is the last part of the video. Now I explained to you everybody is part of the one Son of God. Okay? Now, we're showing this here, right here, in the chapter of Luke, verse 23. Jesus, when He was up on the cross, to think carnally. This is right before Jesus gave up His ghost. Now it goes on with a little more description. But anyway, Luke, won't tell you, I'm tired. Luke 23:34. Then said Jesus, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted His raiment and cast lots. Everybody on the planet makes up the one Son of God. Colossians 4, Jesus, whose name is Justice, that's how our Father, because if our Father is Spirit, Jesus, His Son, that life that God breathed into man, so man that became a living soul, justifies all the wrong that we've done. If we've done wrong, Jesus will justify it. He's going to make sure whatever we've done wrong to someone else is going to happen to us. Okay? He justifies all of the wrongdo that we do to others. Okay? With that being said, with everything that's going on, with all this stuff, with keeping the economy going on, people not wearing masks, I told you how I wear a mask, why I wear a mask, not for my own life, but for the love of others. Okay? We did that in the other videos. This is that dominion that they have over us. This is that part where I started this video. I told you there was part of me that almost thought about writing another book, but I don't think I have time because this publisher takes so much longer than the last publisher. I don't think there's time to write another book. This is the one verse right here that I almost wrote a whole another book about. And then Jesus said, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. And they parted his raiment and cast lots. Okay, now listen. They know not what they do. Man has not understood that those above us have dominion over us. Just like God, when the Father said, let us make man in our own image, he said, give them dominion over the fish, the fowls of the air, the fish, and the beasts of the fields, and so forth. Not worded exactly like that, but he gave us dominion. We're in their image. They have dominion over us just the same as we have dominion over them. We are the beast and all that. That's explained in the books. Okay? People don't realize what they're doing, but it's actually our Father doing it all. He's commanding those that have dominion over us to do what they're doing. So he's commanding people not to wear their mask. He's commanding people to riot. He's commanding those that have dominion over us to do things to keep everything, all the labor pains. He's commanding all these people to like President Trump today suggested everybody gather in houses of worship in big groups or whatever. I don't know what exactly it was. I didn't listen to the news too much today because they had a bunch of specials on, and I only worry about the current news. But that's them above. That's commanding him making him the dominion they have over. They're making him do what they're doing. And that's for us to forgive them. Forgive anybody. If we don't, our Father won't forgive us. Forgive them, for they know not what they're doing. I understand, and that's what these books will help you understand. They'll help you understand what's going on. I understand what's going on, and, you know, I ask it all the time, Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. It's those above that have dominion over us. You know, I explain that in the books, but that's what this is about right here. Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. Most of this world don't know what they're doing. They don't realize that it's actually those above that's causing. Here, this is the way I explain it in the books. You ever have one of those aha moments? Why the heck did I do that? Why in the heck was I going 70 in that 60-mile-an-hour speed limit? Why didn't I slow down? Good chance it was because those above you was causing you to do it. Well, that's what's going on here. Our Father is causing all this chaos and all this crud that's going on in the world right now to make sure that we're all feeling the labor pains of the COVID-19, the contractions of the COVID-19, the contractions of the contraction of the economic shutdown, the contraction of the racial tensions. Okay? We're all feeling that. And he's making sure that it's all going to stay going. He's commanding all those that have dominion over our bodies to keep people doing opposite things. And that way he can keep the labor pains going on. Like I said, there is no stopping this. There's no getting out of it. Okay? It's going to happen one way or another. We're going to be born into the next world. That's what the end of this world is about. This world ends, we go to the next world. We all have to go through these labor pains together. I hope y'all can understand, and I hope y'all. I think we've covered everything we're supposed to cover, and I hope y'all understand it most as well as I do. I understand it really well, but I have a hard time teaching because I'm not God the Father, and I'm not the ultimate teacher that he is. All right? I hope some of y'all watch this, and if you made it this far, great. So I bet a lot of you have shut this video off and haven't made it all the way through it. All right, talk to y'all later. Thank you.